What's going on, fellow A Plusters? It's your boy Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new episode of A Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today over on YouTube. You can also catch us over on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch as well, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a evening episode, if you will, of A Plus Hero Report. We were originally scheduled to go ahead and go live earlier this afternoon around 12 p.m. Or noon, I should say. But as for those of you who don't know, I do usually have somebody that watches kiddo for me while I'm doing my live show. So unfortunately, I was not able to get anybody to watch Little Man for me earlier this afternoon. So that is why I am bringing you a brand new episode here this evening instead of our afternoon schedule time, as we usually do. It is just myself today. I originally did have Stuart on board, but because of the time change, he wasn't able to join me today. So I do apologize about that. Hopefully next weekend, we'll be able to have Stuart certainly on board. And I think we might be expecting Indy back soon, as well as things start kind of coming together for Indy also. I know you guys certainly have missed him. It'd be great to honestly have another opinion, certainly on this show, to certainly push back against me and Stuart a little bit and hear what Indy certainly has to say. But hopefully he will be back up and running here within the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe here for A Plus Hero Report, maybe some weekly content for you guys. So certainly look forward to that. So it is just myself, solo dolo. I know it works for some of you. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but it is just myself. It is Sunday evening before we get our asses kicked and jump into Monday. Hopefully we can avoid a case of the Mondays this week. But let's go ahead and wrap up our weekend the correct way. We got 6 incredible topics that we're going to be breaking down for you guys today in regards to your favorite fandom and franchises. We got a couple of honorable mentions at the top of the show. And of course, we're going to get to you guys' live viewer questions at the end of the show as well. If you do want to go ahead and submit a live viewer question, go ahead and shoot it over to our YouTube page. Click on that community tab, and there is, in fact, a post for live viewer questions. Go ahead and certainly drop it. We usually drop them on Saturday afternoonish, Saturday evening for you guys, if you want to go ahead and get ahead of schedule before we go live on Sundays. So certainly feel free to go ahead and submit that over. And as we do, let me go ahead and give some love to people that are watching us live today. Look, if you are watching us live, especially if you're over on YouTube or even watching us over on Twitter, hit that like button, man. The like button, the share button, the retweet button. It definitely does go a long way in regards to letting people know A Plus Hero Report is live and continuing to help us grow. We don't have any outside sponsors. We are sponsored by you guys. So we really appreciate it. And if you are in the live chat, look, at the end of the day, these are simply my A Plus opinions. I always want to know yours. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. Feel free to go ahead and converse with me as we go through all of our topics. Let me hear your opinions as well. Let's have a good conversation today. But who's in our live chat with us? We got Blossom in the house. Appreciate you coming through, Blossom, as always. Enrique Perez is here today. Hey, Adam, it's just confirmed Wizards Beyond Waverly Place is going to premiere on Disney Channel and Disney Plus October 2024. So we're about a month or so away. Perfect timing, if you ask me. I also saw the official trailer for the new documentary, Superman, the Christopher Reeves story. Yeah, they did drop a documentary trailer. It is up over on our Facebook page if you haven't had the opportunity to check it out for yourself. I have not watched it yet. But I am eager to certainly go ahead and dive into it. I'm sure Christopher Reeves' story is rather encouraging, to say the least. And finally, I saw the Marvel 85th anniversary trailer with first looks for upcoming movie series, including Thunderbolts, Daredevil, Born Again, Ironheart, and Harrison Ford's Red Hulk transformation. Yeah, I don't want to say I avoided the anniversary trailer, but I don't know if there's any like brand new images or anything like that to kind of pull from. So I haven't watched it yet, but maybe I certainly will, Enrique. What else we got here? Ram Jam, how's it going, Adam? He says, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. So with the remake of Bamba in the works, how you going to retell the story of Richie Valens? We'll certainly talk about that, as La Bamba, believe it or not, is certainly one of our main topics for us today. Marcelino, appreciate you certainly stopping by, man. Yeah, if you come back for live viewer questions, let us know. We appreciate you having you here. Yeah, man, a couple of quick things. Next week, I believe, is football week. I am looking forward to it. I got like 3 or 4 fantasy football things certainly going on for myself right now. One that I personally host, another one that I'm part of when it comes to work league, and then I think like those two I do for money, but I do have two other ones that I just randomly joined also every year. So football season's about to come back. I'm really hyped for that as well. I want to see a couple of movies. I still haven't had the opportunity to see Alien Romulus yet. The girlfriend and I are trying to find a babysitter in order to watch Kiddo for us so we can go out and have an adult night and actually catch a movie. So hopefully we'll get the opportunity to check out Alien Romulus soon. We got some television series set to drop. We had Terminator Zero that wind up dropping this week. I'm hopefully going to go ahead and certainly try and check that out. I've been hearing some rave reviews about Terminator Zero for the most part. We got some upcoming series too. I believe Penguin is later this month. We got Agatha All Along later this month too. I'm trying to see if Stuart or Indy might be available to review any of those shows. And we also did have the return of the Rings of Power this week. On Thursday, they wind up dropping three episodes. The first three episodes of season 2 dropped for season 2 of the Rings of Power. There will be a review from me coming. I probably am going to be recording it after tonight's show. And then, if anything, it'll probably be dropping on Monday for you guys. Because of the fact that it's been kind of a hectic week for me here, I'm trying to figure out what my release schedule is going to be for the Rings of Power episodes. If not Friday evening, I might drop it first thing Saturday morning for you guys. But I'll certainly keep you guys posted in the upcoming review. But a great start, if you ask me, for the Rings of Power. I got back into watching it. The recap, I think, really sucked me back in. But this season has been great so far, if you ask me personally. I've really been enjoying it. And for me, I've been seeing a lot more positivity, I feel like, when it comes to season 2 over season 1. I've been seeing people say like season 1 had to walk so that season 2 could run or something like that. I've been seeing a lot of really great memes in regards to that. But who knows? Maybe my algorithm is just different from you guys. But I have been seeing a lot more positive buzz for season 2 of the Rings of Power. So we'll see if people wind up coming on board. I do think if you are just a general audience viewer, if you enjoy just that world alone of Lord of the Rings, like if you went to see, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings in theaters, but really don't have any other notion of Tolkien's work, if you're not like a big Tolkien purist, I think the idea alone of just revisiting that world will really certainly excite you. So, yeah, if you've been checking out the Rings of Power season 2, or just a series in general, certainly go ahead and let me know. Enrique says Transformers 1 is just weeks away. Yeah, it's going to be dropping here this month also. I think I wind up putting up a calendar. I wind up writing a calendar for upcoming television series and movie releases that I'm looking forward to this month. And Transformers 1 was definitely one of them. But now that we've look again, if you guys join us for the live chat, wherever you're certainly joining us from, feel free to go ahead and comment and give your thoughts as we go through each topic. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and kick off the show with our first segment. Welcome to Honorable Mentions. A couple of topics that we felt you certainly deserve to know about that didn't quite necessarily make the cut, but we still wanted to let you know about some things that were certainly brewing in the industry. We did get ourselves some brand new character posters here for the upcoming Joker sequel, Joker Fale Adu, set to go ahead and drop October 4th of this year. We got 2 new character posters for the upcoming movie itself. I'm looking forward to it, man. If you ask me, I do think Todd Phillips has another $1 billion movie on his hand. I'm hoping that people that came out to really enjoy the first Joker certainly come out for this one as well. I'm really not under the impression that the concept of quote unquote it being a musical is really going to turn anybody off. I think if you've checked out the first one and you enjoyed it, or at least were open-minded to it, I do think people are certainly going to really come out to check out Joker Fale Adu. But we did get ourselves some brand new character posters. We also did get ourselves a brand new poster too for Hellboy the Crooked Man. I believe it's actually coming out. Let me look at this calendar real quick. It is coming out this month. I wish that they would actually promote it a little bit better than what they certainly have. I feel like the marketing campaign for this has been kind of weak. Although, despite that, The trailers have continued to improve. I wasn't a big fan of the very first trailer that we wind up getting, but they did have a second trailer drop during San Diego Comic-Con, and that trailer is significantly better. They've had some great interviews talking to Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy. They've been talking to the director a little bit, trying to talk about his influences for bringing this particular version of the Hellboy to us. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what this movie is going to turn out to be. I just wish that it was getting in front of more eyes, honestly. So I do wish that the marketing campaign was a little bit stronger here, but it is a lower budget movie. So, I'm not expecting them to put $100 million behind this marketing campaign. I think they're just trying to win some people over, get some people out, and break even, if not make some sort of profit based off of their small budget that they have. Online right now, it is showing that the release date for this is September 27th, which is actually a UK release date. So I don't know if it's going to be releasing that same week worldwide, or if it's going to be coming a little bit early or later. But as of right now, September 27th is the UK release date for the upcoming Hellboy Crooked Man movie. So yeah, I'm actually the more and more I hear people talk about it, the more I'm actually intrigued to actually watch it, to be quite frank with you. What other things we got going on that I wanted to bring to your guys' attention? Oh, you know what? We did have a couple of brand new trailers also. For those of you who don't know, the Pooniverse continues to grow. If you're asking yourself, what the hell is the Pooniverse? Let me inform you. Because of the fact that we have a lot of classic characters that Disney once used, now going out into the public domain, like original versions of these characters, if you will, from Mickey Mouse to Bambi to Peter Pan to Pinocchio. It's now allowed a lot of creators to go ahead and just utilize these characters as they would like to, as long as it doesn't match what it is that like Disney has certainly done with them, if you will. And so this week, I think we got 2 different trailers, but I'm gonna just drop this first one. This was the first. I want to say that this was like the first character that went into public domain after Winnie the Pooh, which I believe was Steamboat Willie, the 1920s version of Mickey Mouse. Well, they have officially made a horror film for it, titled Screamboat. Instead of Steamboat Willie, it is now Screamboat. So let's go ahead and pull this up here. I'm going to bring up the trailer. This is like a 45-second teaser trailer, but should give us some insight in regards to what this is going to be. It's low budget. Let's just say that.
We're not alone. I heard stories about a monster that lurked in the underbelly of the ferry.
And the producers of the Terrifier 2 in the
After
main
90 years. He's actually out in the public.
Look at his little legs.
Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie. Mickey Mouse ears. Wow.
It's the happiest place on earth.
Oh, January 2025. That's how you know a movie may not necessarily do too well if it's being released in January. January is usually where like movies go to die, unfortunately. There was also another one for like Peter Pan, I believe. I didn't watch that one as of yet, but I did see some people comparing Peter Pan to like Pennywise the clown, like he came out from like somebody's bed or something like that. I don't know. I got to check it out for myself, but I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, that is Screamboat, the official teaser trailer. I don't believe that there's an official release date, with the exception of January 2025. We also did get some news that the Netflix series Dead Boy Detectives, believe it or not, has been canceled after 1 season. That's right. It feels like this is a trend these days. Look, I watched the first 2 episodes of Dead Boy Detectives. I really wanted to like it. It was just a little bit slow for me. It just didn't connect with me, unfortunately. So I never really finished the season. So, but I'm sure it probably has some fans, especially if you were fans of the comic book series itself. This was a show that originally was ordered for HBO Max during the time before the selling off of DC Studios, if I'm not mistaken, or the DC stuff, and then eventually got picked up by Netflix to go ahead and actually add it to its Sandman universe, if you will. I think originally they had Dead Boy Detectives pop up in like season 3 of Doom Patrol. I think it was meant to originally have been a part of the Doom Patrol world, but with everything kind of changing over at Warner Brothers, I think they ended up actually selling it to Netflix. But yeah, after one season, it is now officially canceled. So yeah. Yeah, it's that's going around these days, man. That's going around these days, unfortunately. Let's see here. What else do we got? I'm just kind of scrolling down. Oh, Deadline this week also reported that Superman and Lois final season is officially moving its day. I think originally it was set to go ahead and drop on Thursdays, but now I believe it is dropping on Mondays. According to Deadline, it says the fourth and final season of Superman and Lois will debut sooner than expected. The CW has made a change on the network's fall schedule, with Superman and Lois and New Wild West unscripted series, The Wranglers, moving from Thursday to Monday. Okay, so it's going to be dropping Monday. The move is believed to be in response to ABC creating an 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. game show block on Mondays, which would have gone head to head with CW's game show, with Tuesday and Friday's spots now open. So yeah, it says originally, oh, that's never mind. Season 4 of Superman and Lois, which had not been slated to debut until October 17th, will again launch with a 2-hour premiere, but on October 7th. October 7th. So wow, we're actually getting that about a week and a half earlier, because it was supposed to drop on the 17th, which is a Thursday, but now it's dropping Monday, October 7th. I guess for me, the only downside to this for me is the fact that again, this is going to be every Monday now. Um, don't they have Monday Night Football? Like, I feel like this is going to really pull down maybe some of the viewership for the final season. I mean, look, I think people that are big fans of Superman and Lois will certainly watch it, but if you are a Superman and Lois fan and a football fan, I guess really depends on like what the matchup on Monday Night Football is certainly going to be. I'm always under the impression that if you're on television, you try and avoid Monday Night Football certainly at all costs. So the idea of them moving Superman and Lois, especially on its final season, to Monday, it's a little bit of a head scratcher, if you ask me. So keeping my fingers crossed that it works. So again, no longer Thursday, October 17th. Superman and Lois will now premiere on Mondays beginning October 7th. So mark your calendars, guys. We also had WWE's Bash in Berlin. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity. If you're a big wrestling fan, we did drop a review for it. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to check it out, but it was on Saturday evening. I haven't finished it. I haven't started it myself, actually. So hopefully, maybe later on tonight, I'll be able to certainly check it out for myself. There is another honorable mention here I wanted to go ahead and bring up, but before I do, I just want to make sure that there's no other set photos out there that I am missing out on. I don't believe so. So, okay. So this week, for those of you who don't know, I don't necessarily know if it was this week, but the Fantastic Four has officially begun filming. And we are actually getting our very first glimpse of some of the set photos here. This one leaked. I don't know if there are more out there. I'm certainly trying to find more right now. Let me see. But we did get ourselves a brand new look at, believe it or not, Ben Grimm, the Thing. We were very much under the impression that when it comes to the Fantastic Force thing, that it was going to be mostly CGI. I believe the gentleman that's playing him did emphasize in an interview relatively early, maybe even before San Diego Comic-Con, that it was going to be heavy CGI. And I think when Stuart and I kind of talked about it, I think we were kind of hoping that there would be some aspect of like a practical suit involved. And we wouldn't know how they would balance it out between practical and CGI. But believe it or not, guys, there seems to be an actual suit. That's right. I think this might be his space missions costume. I don't know if this is shortly after the space mission or whatever the case may be. But clearly, there is some sort of practical suit involved. Whether or not this is just all animatronics being moved, if there's somebody actually in there, maybe it's a combination of the two. Maybe there's somebody actually inside this big practical suit. Maybe you've got an animatronic controller that moves the facial features, the eyebrows, and stuff. I think we've come a long way in regards to technology, that you certainly can bring the thing to life in the form of actual physical suit itself. I'm quite sure there's going to be a lot of CGI even added to this character, but I think the fact that we get the opportunity to see Ben Grimm, the Thing, on set with people working on him really blows my mind, if you ask me. I'm really glad it's just the leaps and bounds that Marvel Studios is certainly taking to make this movie certainly work. So yeah, man, this is a leaked photo of us for us of Ben Grimm, the Thing, in a practical suit here. Never thought I'd see it, honestly. So I'm really glad that they're certainly going that route. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section box below. I think we got other projects like Star Trek Starfleet Academy has begun filming its series, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to see what else we got. Well, that might be it. That might be it in regards to some honorable mentions. Oh, there was one more thing too. We talked really heavily about the whole Ezra Miller fiasco during The Flash. This will be our last honorable mention before we kind of move on to other topics here. But Ezra Miller, believe it or not, is back in the news. For those of you who don't know, he got into a lot of legal trouble over the past several years, whether that be being a belligerent drunk. I don't want to say, I don't think he was trafficking, but maybe grooming like younger kids or something like that. Some allegations was certainly pushed about him for sure. He's actually pled guilty to, I think like breaking and entering, or like stealing somebody's possessions. I don't know. You can all look it up in regards to all the mess that Ezra Miller has been going through lately. He has not been in any movies, if I'm not mistaken, since The Flash, which was filmed years ago, and I don't think anybody's even picked up this guy. But the reason why he's back in the news now is the father that accused Ezra Miller of grooming their daughter is now coming out and saying, I was mistaken. I was mistaken. So let's go ahead and bring this up here for you guys. Whether or not this changes your opinion on Ezra Miller, I'll certainly leave that up to you. But I do think it's fascinating here. This comes from comicbookmovie.com. Father who accused the Flash star Ezra Miller of grooming their child now says that they were mistaken. It says in 2022, the Flash star Ezra Miller was accused of grooming by multiple parties. Around the same time, there was also claims that they'd assaulted people, harassed them, and potentially committed serious crimes like burglary and trespassing. The whole thing is pretty convoluted at this stage. But Miller has since said that they're seeking treatment for complex mental health issues. Among those serious allegations were those of the parents from parent Sarah Jumping Eagle, and Chase Iron Eyes. They were looking for a protective order from Miller on behalf of Gibson Iron Eyes, their child. They claim Miller had convinced them to send Gibson to Bard College at Simon's Rock in Massachusetts to, quote unquote, create a sense of indebtedness and that the actor had plied Gibson with drugs and alcohol before physically abusing them. Gibson denied the claims in a statement and accused their parents of emotional and psychological manipulation while defending Miller. Sarah Jumping Eagle hit back at that by saying the Justice League star had brainwashed their child through emotional abuse. Their uncle, Chief Bear Cross, also made a series of damaging claims, but Chase Iron Eyes has now changed his tune, saying the accusation stemmed from a third party information, courtesy of a witness who later recanted their statement. This is what the father, Chase Iron Eyes, says. He says, I want to offer this on the drama 3 years ago when I filed a petition and claimed that Ezra appeared to have groomed Takata. I made that statement in my pleading in a time of absolute war based on information from a witness who then recanted and said nothing happened, that they could infer anything inappropriate from. Thus, I immediately withdrew the court filings. He also added, now we are doing our level best to move on, to reconcile, to heal while remaining supportive as a father. As long as Takata's good, we're good. These are real people living real lives. And once you're in that fire where there is no anonymity, there is no safe space for you to retreat. That's a strange place, and it's not enviable. It takes a lot to enter the fray again. So yeah, it looks like he wanted to set the record straight. Part of Miller's attempt to mount a comeback or none of all of the above. It's also important to note that just because someone recanted their statement doesn't mean it wasn't true. So it's pretty interesting to kind of see how this is all changing. So yeah, take it as you will. But apparently, according to the father, they were mistaken based off of another witness recanting their statements also. So we'll see. We'll see. Who else we got? We got Nathan Moore in the house. What's up, Nathan Moore? I'm calling now. We will see this film before the Blade movie, if we even see Blade with Ali at all. Yeah, that's a good question. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows if we'll see the Blade movie at all? I'm right there with you. Enrique says, I'm like the Disney Steamboat Willie kids, short, better than the horror one. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's probably better than the horror one. I mean, the horror one is low budget. But then again, I also said that about the first Winnie the Pooh horror film. And then we got a sequel to it. And it's I think it actually did relatively well box office numbers wise. So well, doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't mean it's good, but we'll see. But yeah, man, that will do it for our honorable mentions today. So thank you everybody for certainly joining us for that aspect of the show. Have any more live viewer questions or comments? No, I think we're good. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and kick this episode off with our main topics. As you guys saw at the top of our thumbnail, our main story today is a brand new trailer that we wind up getting for Sonic 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This is coming fresh off of the Peacock series, if I'm not mistaken, of Knuckles, a 6-part limited series event that, if anything, I haven't checked it out myself. I would assume would then lead into Sonic the Hedgehog 3. They also went ahead and released a brand new poster for us earlier on today to accompany the brand new trailer earlier this week. They clearly got this movie in a bunch of different formats for you guys to certainly check out. It looks like what is that release date? I can't see. It says only in theaters. Does that say December of this year? Somebody find the release date for me in regards to that. If anything, they probably will announce it here when we pull up the actual trailer itself. I have not had the opportunity to check out the trailer, so I thought it would be cool to do a first time watch and reaction with you guys. To be fair, I have seen the first Hedgehog movie. That I don't think I've even seen the second one, to be quite frank with you. So we'll see how this trailer hits, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what this movie is going to be about. I was actually a really big fan of the first one, and clearly this franchise continues to roll with having a spin-off of this show, right? Or having a spin-off come out of the first Sonic movie. or I should say the second Sonic movie with Knuckles, and now giving us the debut of Shadow. Even Ram Jam says in here, Sonic the Hedgehog movie has come a long way. Yeah, it really has. I mean, if you remember just the early aspects of it, when we got our very first look at the Sonic design and people were just like up in arms about it, it was a pretty horrendous design. So the fact that they listened to the fans and they went back to the drawing board, redesigned him, and ever since then, it's just been like roses for the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, as people have really been loving these movies along with the Knuckles series as well. So the franchise certainly seems to have a hit on its hands. So let's go ahead and check out what Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is all about with this official trailer in theaters this year, December 20th. Let's go.
Sonic, you finally found your family.
Try to keep up.
I know it hasn't always been easy, but you didn't change who you
Oh,
are.
that's cool. Like the video game.
Yeah. In my lungs.
For your heart.
I have always really enjoyed the humor of these movies.
There's been a high-level security breach,
Ooh, whoa, that's cool.
and we need Team Sonic's immediate assistance.
Team Sonic,
Project Shadow is far beyond anything we've ever encountered.
man, he looks great.
Shadow's story began a lot like your Sonic, but where you found family and friends, Shadow found only pain and loss.
All right. We got a rogue alien on the loose. How do we find it?
Start with the giant fireball?
I love it. Let's start with a giant fireball.
Dang, look at this superhero team here. Superhero landing and everything.
He is much more impressive than the hedgehog I fought previously.
Dude, I'm standing right here.
You're a colorful bunch.
We don't want to fight you.
Actually, Sonic, I would like to fight.
Knuckles, no!
Whoa.
My turn.
He's channeling that John Wick.
Can we just talk about
Wow.
this?
That's pretty cool how they showcase his powers.
He's too powerful. I can't believe I'm saying this,
Damn.
but we need you-know-who.
This is a bad idea.
When has that ever stopped me?
Wow.
Doctor,
Jim Carrey let himself go.
this is sad, Robotnik, even for you.
We need your help.
On one condition.
Let's
Do this! If I can't rule the world, I might as well save it. I need room. Sir, I don't have the proper materials.
Found some.
Oh, wow.
There won't be anything left.
Hey, no cheat codes! What did you do?
What I had.
Damn. The graphics look incredible. Damn, bro. Wow. I got goosebumps.
Welcome home, my boy.
Ain't no way.
It's impossible.
Is it?
It couldn't be.
Couldn't it?
Are you? In the saggy flesh.
Wow. Okay. Wow. You know what? Let me tell you something, man. I'm on board. Wow. What a great trailer that was. That was a great trailer, man. First off, props to Keanu Reeves for joining the franchise. He clearly sees a franchise that's on its way up, continuing to grow, brings a lot of joy, and he's like, let me in on this. He didn't feel like it was too over the top. It didn't feel like it was too Keanu Reeves, like, oh, he sounds like John Wick or like Neo or anything like that. I really do love the voice that he winds up bringing to Shadow in here, and they did not go cheaply on the graphics design for his character. I mean, the special effects in here look incredible. The shot just before he jumps off of his motorcycle at the end, when it's raining and he's soaking wet, and you get the close-up shot of his face and his power starting to kind of build up. Incredible shot, man. I can't wait to see these two come to blows with each other, Sonic and Shadow. I do dig the idea that we've got Tails and Knuckles working alongside Sonic as like some sort of like I don't want to say like a rescue team, but like some sort of like first strike team, if you will, to go ahead and take care of aliens or any big issues that they certainly might have. That's a really cool combination of the three of them, to be quite frank with you. But I am curious to look. There was eventually a time when it comes to Sonic video games where I eventually fell off. I fell off like right after Sonic 2 or Sonic 3. I don't really necessarily recall the Shadow character or really playing the stories for him. So I'm kind of going into this fresh in regards to like Shadow's origin story, whatever the case may be. But the fact that at least from the trailer alone, that there's a significant difference or like a separation of his origin story from that of Dr. Robotnik. Like I like the idea of that Dr. Robotnik is kind of being brought into this. I mean, who knows? Maybe Homeboy's got like a bigger plan. Or maybe they're really like reaching out to him asking for help, whether or not by the end of this, if this is like part of a bigger plan that Robotnik has had, who certainly knows. But I dig the first trailer, man. I dig this trailer. It definitely has got my attention. Great humor as always. Great character work. So yeah, I'm excited to see what Keanu Reeves does here, man. I'm pretty pumped for it. But I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts. How do you guys feel about it overall? Enrique says James Marsden returns as Tom. Can't wait. Yeah, he's been pretty good in this. The movies are interesting, but I'm more partial to the cartoons. I will. Look, I haven't watched the Sonic cartoons. He says Sonic Underground anyway. But I will say I think they've done a remarkable job in regards to bringing Sonic the Hedgehog to the big screen. Like, I don't know. Maybe I was a doubter on the first film, trying to figure out like, is this certainly going to work or not? I think the idea that so many people went out and saw it really surprised me. But after I saw it for myself, I was like, oh yeah, like I could totally see why people are really big fans of this movie franchise so far. I think they've been doing a really great job of bringing these characters to the big screen. Enrique says Project Shadow and Sonic Hedgehog 3 is amazing. Yeah, I'm really impressed with it. Marcelino says there were rumors that Kristen Ritter would play Rogue the Bat, but those rumors turned out to be false. But I'm disappointed. She's just playing generic military general. Yeah, it would have been pretty cool to kind of see her as Rogue the Bat. I think I also recall some of those rumors also, Marcelino. I thought she was going to be in here also. Marcelino says the Shadow video game is one of the worst Sonic video games. It's fun to play, but terrible everything else. Shadow has guns, curses, and a story that doesn't make sense. Oh wow. Then I'll be interested to kind of see how they bring him to life here. I mean, he definitely seems like he's significantly different from the others. I dig I dig how they showcase his power set. Not only fast, but clearly the ability to teleport, or maybe he's just that fast that you can't see him. I don't know if it's a teleportation or not, but it looks pretty good. I like his motorcycle in here was pretty badass too. So yeah, man, we'll see what they have in store. Ram Jam says, remember when Coolio was one of the songs for the first movie? Shout out to rest in peace, Coolio, man. Rest in peace. I do still love listening to Gangster's Paradise from time to time. It still hits these days, honestly. But yeah, man, first reaction, first thoughts. I'm here for it. I definitely will be trying to check it out after I officially watch. After I watch the second one, maybe I should do a little bit of a catching up. I've been trying to do my best to catch up to a lot of franchises and movies that are dropping, trying to look at some of the original ones and get caught up. So maybe that's what I'll do when it comes to before December 20th. Maybe I'll check out Sonic 2 along with Knuckles to certainly go ahead and get ready for it. Marcelino says, Shadow does teleport. He frequently does that. I thought they did a pretty good job of showcasing that here. Blossom, definitely need to look at Shadow more, understand the character anyway. Yeah, me too. Like I said, I don't know Shadow's origin story in here. So to kind of see, it feels very much like he was grown or built up in a lab. When they say the idea like, Sonic's upbringing was clearly different in the sense that, he got to attach himself to people that loved and cared for him, whereas though Shadow was very much has only really experienced pain. It does feel like they've probably done a ton of experiments on this guy to either make him faster or to give him superpowers or whatever the case may be. Like, I would like to know how he started off before they wind up amping up his powers. There may even be some level of attachment to some kid that we see him looking through the test tube in. So I am kind of curious to see what the origin story and how they're going to make this work, so that you have somebody on the opposite side like Sonic that can maybe eventually talk some sense into him, bring him onto his group or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think they did a really remarkable job. Gave me goosebumps, to be quite frank with you, this trailer. So way to go, man. I'm pumped for this movie. December 20th, ladies and gentlemen, if you're eager to go ahead and check out this trilogy. And look, there's usually a part of me would say, after this third one, we're probably good movie-wise, but it really is going to depend on what the box office is. Like, if the box office is rather successful, maybe we get ourselves another film. I do wonder if they have plans at any point in time to give us another spinoff. I think the concept of limited event series probably could really work for this. And in turn, who knows? I mean, maybe you go from something like a movie trilogy to then a full-blown ongoing television series on Peacock or something like that, or Paramount. I think either of those, I think it's Paramount, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's where Knuckles wind up dropping. So I'm open to either or. If this movie ends up being successful, I think the franchise, despite now being on its third film, especially after this trailer, I think it's still got a lot of great momentum behind him, honestly. Ram Jim says, will they introduce Metal Sonic next? That's a thing? Metal Sonic is a thing? Let me hold on a second. Metal Sonic the Hedgehog. Is that a thing? Oh man, that does look pretty badass. Yeah, maybe that's a Sonic 4, or maybe that's or maybe that's a series villain. Who knows? Is that something that Dr. Robotnik created? I am kind of curious now. You got me curious, Ram Jam, as to learn more about this Metal Sonic. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts. What did you guys think of the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 set to go ahead and drop December 30th or December 20th? Are you pumped for it? Are you looking forward to it? Did the trailer not hit you like it hit me? I definitely want to go ahead and know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. And as we go through all these particular topics, if anything, we certainly will be after we finish the show off, I'll go ahead and make sure we add some timestamps for you guys. So if you do want to go ahead and come back to this episode at any time, you can go ahead and navigate this episode extremely well. Usually at the end of these episodes, I usually will create clips and post them throughout social media through the entirety of the week. So if you're not following us on social media, go ahead and do so right here at A+ Opinions. Very active over on Twitter. We're also on TikTok at Hero Report, but everywhere else at A+ Opinions on social media. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into our next topic, because we're going to get into our MCU bag, as Agatha All Along is literally right around the corner. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe it drops next week. We'll find out here relatively soon. I think that they even dropped a Agatha All Along featurette today, or a behind the scenes. Let me check Google. Let me check. Was that today? Oh, that was yesterday. Let me see. Will this allow me to pull it up? Yeah, you know what? Let's before we actually get into the article itself, because Kathryn Hahn this week did get the opportunity to sit down with Rolling Stone magazine to talk a little bit more about Agatha All Along and give us some insight. But before we do that, I have not had the opportunity to check this out, but I do know that they wind up releasing a brand new featurette for Agatha All Along. This will definitely give us Enrique says is a new trailer for Agatha All Along, or behind the scenes clip. It's a behind the scenes sort of featurette of it coming together, where they highlight the characters and the actors that play them. So let me go ahead and pull this up. We'll watch this, and then we'll get into the actual article itself. I have not had the opportunity to check this one out, so we'll see how this goes.
At the end of WandaVision, Agatha lost her magic. How long have I been here? It's the most hated witch on the planet.
Quote unquote evil.
has to recruit a ragtag group of witches to
That's
open the door
Jacqueline
to this
Schaefer.
road and go set out on this adventure. Because that's the only way I get my power back.
What witch in her right mind would join Agatha Harkness's coven?
The one and only Patti LuPone.
Lilia Calderu, divination. I have
she's great.
flashes of sight, of vision.
She's kind of batty all over the place.
Alice Wu Gulliver, we need a protection witch to join us on the Witch's Road.
She's getting in touch with her power that's been lying dormant for a long time.
What do you say?
What? Jennifer Kale, potions.
You look amazing.
I know. Her magic comes from chemistry and alchemy.
Oh, alchemy.
Jennifer's really sarcastic. How are you? Awful.
Definite love-hate relationship.
Gang's all here.
Wait, where's our green witch?
Oh, I know who it is.
A party?
Hey.
I'm gonna grab my purse. Looks like you've got your coven.
What a team of rejects.
Oh, there's
What's up?
Aubrey.
I'm Rio. What's up? Hey.
They just think I'm some kind of badass.
Do I hate her or do I want her phone number?
It's a real delightful group.
They're just really freaking weird people.
What's not to love?
I never doubted us for a second.
So there you go. We got it. September 18th. September 18th is going to be the premiere for Agatha All Along. That did say August 18th, right? Looks like it's going to be a 2-episode premiere that drops on a Wednesday, so a middle of the week series, if you will. Cool little featurette, man. Cool little featurette. I think for me, I'm really fascinated in finding out more about these additional witches. I do dig the idea that a lot of their personalities are significantly different. Some familiar faces if you know any of these acting careers, but I don't know if any of these characters are pulled out of the Marvel comics or if they're original characters that Jacqueline Schaefer is certainly creating. Maybe you guys certainly might know more than me in the comment section box below. But I from what I've seen trailer wise so far and behind the scenes stuff, I do like their chemistry. I am kind of curious how it all works in the form of telling this big story of Kathryn Hahn trying to acquire her powers and using these witches to kind of come along with her. It looks like a fun adventure. It looks like it's pretty original in the sense of maybe some unique things in the Marvel cinematic universe that we haven't necessarily seen before. So the fact that we're going really heavy sort of in the witchdom kind of intrigues me. Jacqueline Schaefer, the showrunner, definitely played up in it when it comes to WandaVision, but the fact that she's now getting the opportunity to expand upon this and really kind of play in this world, I'm really looking forward to it. I think she did a remarkable job when it comes to WandaVision, and so the fact that she's getting to play she's getting to work with familiar actors that she's kind of done this with before really gives me some positive momentum going into Agatha All Along, which was a series that I initially didn't really care for, but it's one that I am now kind of looking forward to kind of see just how significantly different and unique of a series Jacqueline Schaefer can kind of give us with this one. But this week also we had Kathryn Hahn kind of discussing the series itself a little bit. She actually had the opportunity to sit down with Rolling Stone magazine this week. Kathryn Hahn on the return of Agatha and her MCU future. Who are you calling a side character is what she says here. This is a pretty long... did it not allow me to? I did read the full story already. Let me see if it'll allow me to... It did give this to me earlier this week. I literally just read it earlier this week. Why won't it let me read it now? You're going to make me subscribe? Let me see. It did allow me to pull this up earlier. Yeah, I literally read it earlier, but maybe it was like, hey, you get this one free option. After that, you're screwed, buddy. Damn, now it's not letting me here, let me see if somebody else maybe pulled quotes away from her. Let's see. It literally was up here yesterday. Man, it's not up here now. That's a bummer. That is a bummer. Sorry about that, guys. It was up and working for me yesterday. Let's see. This is from comicbook.com. Looks like some people are taking like different um, quotes from the Rolling Stone magazine. So maybe that's what we'll have to do. Maybe we'll just have to kind of jump back and forth to different websites that have taken bits and pieces. This is from comicbook.com. Rolling Stone asked if she had any changes to the plans since Agatha All Along was announced. Kathryn Hahn said that things had been fluid, as they always are in Hollywood, but the basic beats of the story and the emotional guidestones remain the same. We can trust that Witch's Road, a mysterious teen, and Agatha Harkness getting her powers back were always going to be in the cards of this Disney show. WandaVision fans have been waiting a while for this, so their big day is almost here. This is let's see. This is what Kathryn Hahn says. He says, these two shows were such a living, breathing organism. I had a movement teacher, the incredible Wesley Fada, who would say to us, champions adjust. And that became a catchphrase between all of us. You always had to be flexible, is what she says. Because it really did shift. And so you couldn't even hold on to something very tightly. But I knew that the base arc, the important stuff, the emotional goalposts were firmly in place. So the difference between reading it on the page and seeing it almost 2 years later was so minimal. Let's see here. There's also another article. There was another one too. Where's this one? Comic book resources. Let's see what comic book resources is saying here. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Kathryn Hahn talked about wanting to keep the core of what made the character a fan favorite after her original Disney Plus appearance. Her wish list for Agatha Harkness aligned with how Marvel conceived the witch for the upcoming show. Our wishes aligned. I wanted Agatha not to lose her acerbic nastiness. I wanted to actually see what lies beneath that weird, hard, mean shell, and also have some music and keep the camp up. All the costume changes, all the stuff that I really loved about WandaVision, the element of performance in her. She really is a great old school actor who loves putting on the Ritz. I wanted that to be part of her still. And I kind of dig that. I'm kind of glad that this Agatha isn't necessarily so much going to change, that we're still going to see those elements that we saw from her when it comes to WandaVision, but like tenfold now, in the sense of really allowing us to kind of get a better look as to who she is as a character. I mean, you know, you take into consideration that when it comes to Agatha from WandaVision, you know, now that we have seen her lose to Scarlet Witch, have her powers sort of taken away from her, you know, this is our very first time getting the opportunity to kind of see what her life is truly like. And so, you know, the fact that we're going to get her recruiting other witches, getting to kind of see what her relationship is with those witches, learn a little bit more about Agatha in that sense, I think should be relatively fun, to certainly say the least. They have said that there was going to be some musical beats in this in this series as well. So the fact that they're, as she puts it, and keep the camp up, I think should be pretty interesting, to certainly say the least. I don't know if this is going to feel quite like a Wizard of Oz type of moments, but the fact that they're not quite following the yellow brick road, but they're clearly like on a journey to certainly go somewhere. It does have like elements of a Wizard of Oz a little bit to me. Clearly she's not the Dorothy type, but if there's some music along with going on a trek to a final destination, yeah, man, I think it should be pretty good. There were more things that I wanted to talk about, but yeah, man, a little bit bummed that Rolling Stone is not allowing me to read the article in full. That's definitely a little bit of a bummer here. But yeah, guys, let me know your anticipation level for Agatha all along in the comment section box below. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a series that I was really initially looking forward to, but the more and more that I hear about it, the more and more I'm actually getting quite pumped for this show. Just in the sense of like, it just feels like it's going to be unique. It's going to be fun. I'm a big fan of Kathryn Hahn. I do like some of these actresses as well, especially Aubrey Plaza. I am curious as to who she's going to be playing in here. She seems like she's certainly the outcast, like clearly not part of this group, but maybe kind of joins the group mid sort of mid journey. And so I do wonder how Aubrey Plaza's character kind of plays into the grander scheme of things. Like, is she the one pulling the strings in here? Does she have ulterior motives herself? Is she Mephisto? If we want to go back down that conspiracy theory route. But I don't know. Her placement in here just seems odd and out of place. Clearly, like from the previous trailer that we saw, she seems like she's trying to help guide Agatha back to who she certainly was. So what is her influence in here? I feel like there's more to this Aubrey Plaza character than what they're really allowed to show us or tell us about. Like, she's been really quiet, I feel like, when it comes to promoting and talking about this show. So I think they're definitely trying to keep Aubrey Plaza's character secret really close to the vest, honestly. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in regards to this. Agatha all along set to go ahead and drop September 18th for you guys on Disney Plus. 2-episode premiere, to say the least. So looking forward to it. With that out of the way, guys, we will move on to our next topic today. This will be our third topic that we're going to get into, from the MCU over to the DCU, baby. As Sean Gunn is certainly in the news this week. James Gunn, I believe, has officially wrapped up Superman. Going into post-production now, getting ready for a July 2025 release date. So he's got himself a good year to be working with visual effects. I believe they've already kind of been working on some of the pre-visual stuff for quite some time now. And this movie is certainly coming together. But Sean Gunn this week, his brother to James Gunn, decided to talk a little bit about the differences between the DCU and Marvel, saying that they are apples and oranges in regards to just how vastly different these two worlds are really going to be. So let's see what Sean Gunn himself certainly has to say. This one comes to us from The Wrap. I swear to God, The Wrap, if you were telling me right now, like, I can't read this, I'm going to be so pissed. But no, it's here. Okay, good. Sometimes they do the same thing, like subscribe, get your free trial first. Sean Gunn says Marvel and DC are apples and oranges, but brother James brings more similarities. So let's hear what Sean Gunn has to say. He says, Sean Gunn is part of a fairly small club of actors who have starred in both the MCU and the DCU. Gunn made his MCU debut as Kraglin in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he also played Weasel in DC's The Suicide Squad. And though both MCU and Marvel own the superhero movie landscape, Gunn told The Wrap at Fan Expo Chicago that coming into the franchise at different times in their histories made a difference for him. He says, I came into the whole process of working at Marvel once the machine was kind of already up and running smoothly and doing well. DC, I've done Suicide Squad, but now they're kind of overhauling it. And it's new ever since my brother took over as head of the studio. It's sort of been a new process for them. So it's really kind of true, like trying to compare apples and oranges. So really talking about the idea of just where they are in the creative process of things, that where the MCU was at the time in which he was joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it was kind of a well-oiled machine at that point in time. Kevin Feige kind of, had an idea as to what he was trying to create. Whereas here, when it comes to James Gunn, even though he's been a part of the Suicide Squad movie, just really getting the opportunity to see his brother kind of form this brand new world and trying to sort of get their feet under them and establish where the DCU is at this particular point in time. Definitely coming into two different situations at two different times, to certainly say the least. Sean Gunn noted that there is one overarching similarity between Marvel and DC for him that made working both much easier and much more familiar. He says, underneath it all, working with my brother is more similar than it is different to other things. So the fact that I was working with James in Marvel and James in DC actually makes it actually, there's a lot more similarities in terms of the process. He says it's all from written materials with things that we figured we're looking at, talking about bringing his Maxwell Lord to life as well. Creature Commandos hits Max this December, which is kind of sort of our appetizers to the DCU, and Superman will release in theaters July 11th. So I guess that is a little bit similar for him, despite the idea of where he's sort of coming into play for both the MCU and the DCU. The fact that he has sort of worked with his brother before, I think opens up a ton of similarities for him there. I got to think that, I don't want to say this transition is super easy for him, but the fact that he is getting the opportunity to work with his brother again has probably got to make this a little bit easier, especially the opportunity to be able to sit down with your brother. I don't know how much input Sean Gunn has had in the creation of the DCU, but clearly him and his brother are working to try and give us a Maxwell Lord that we haven't really necessarily seen on the big screen before, or a live adaptation of. I think in some of the past interviews, he has mentioned that while Maxwell Lord will be inspired from comic book runs and moments from the comic books for him, he's not basing any of his inspirations off of the Supergirl season 1 version that we wind up getting, or even the Pedro Pascal Wonder Woman 1985 Maxwell Lord. It looks like he's definitely going to be bringing his own traits to the character based off of some of the comic books that him and James Gunn are certainly pulling from in here. Look, I will say this. I am really looking forward to what James Gunn's vision for this world is really going to be. I just find it really intriguing in the sense of us coming to this world already sort of established. I like the idea that, not to say that I'm over origin stories, as I do think that there's places for origin stories for sure, but there is something really cool, I think, about James Gunn's DCU kind of already being established. When you think of the first Iron Man movie, while clearly as the MCU progresses, we learn more about Shield, what it was like in the past, the idea of them having to have created Captain America before he got stuck in the ice. I mean, we've heard about Hank Pym and his Ant-Man and the Wasp adventures during the war and stuff, right? Like, so clearly there were elements of superheroes in this MCU world to some capacity, but Iron Man is really sort of the launching point of sort of allowing other superheroes to then be created and formed and come into a world that's very minimally populated with superheroes, in the sense of like, undercover stuff, or, special ops that nobody really knows about, a super soldier frozen in history or frozen in time sort of thing, right? It's really Iron Man that kind of launches off this creation of superheroes sort of in this world, if you will. And that's the beginnings for the MCU. Whereas when it comes to the DCU, it does feel very much like we're jumping into Superman's career when he's very early on in his career, but he's established along with a bunch of other characters that are going to be established in here. So the fact that this world already has lore created for it, I think just thinking about it, because I'm literally fresh off of watching the Rings of Power and just thinking about things that like George R.R. Martin has created with the House of the Dragon and the Game of Thrones, like to come in with almost like a Bible or like an established world. You know, there has got to have been like moments in time or big impactful moments for these worlds that go down in history, if you will, that I do think that will allow James Gunn, because this world is so populated already, to have that freedom of really being able to do like spin-off series or prequels and, you know, visiting different events and moments in time, if you will, for their bigger DCU. It almost feels like it gives James Gunn sort of like a rich environment to really work in, instead of having to create something from the ground up. The fact that we're being thrusted into a world that's already populated with superheroes and supervillains, I think is just going to feel traditionally significantly different than how the first sort of MCU Iron Man movie kind of felt. And so I'm really fascinated to kind of see how DC Studios moves from here. I do think that they have a little bit of an upper hand in the sense of having co-CEOs, with Peter Safran sort of being the producer element of things, the business and financial side of things, and James Gunn really being the the creative when it comes to it. And don't get me wrong, Marvel Studios had that at one point in time with, was it I can't remember the gentleman's name opposite of Kevin Feige before Bob Iger fired him or moved him somewhere else. But the difference is these two actually get along. Like James Gunn and Peter Safran actually get along. And so the fact that they get to work with each other, I think they're probably going to be very much more on the same page than Kevin Feige was, I think, with his fellow producer and financial partner. So I'm looking forward to what James Gunn is certainly going to create here. But even Sean Gunn says that, yes, while him jumping on board at different times for the MCU and the DCU certainly feels different, the idea of being able to work with his brother once again is as similar as it gets. So I'm looking forward to seeing these two certainly create magic again. And I have high hopes certainly for the first Superman movie set to go ahead and drop this upcoming July. So, yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts and levels of anticipation for James Gunn's DCU. If anything, December can't get here soon enough, man. Like I'm really looking forward to this Creature Commandos animated series. I really am. Let's see here. What do we got next? Oh, you know what? I'm actually really excited to talk about this upcoming story here. Jurassic World is in the news this week. We have a brand new Jurassic World movie that's headed our way. After the last movie, Dominion, I think broke $1 billion at the box office. We were kind of wondering, where is this franchise going to go? And believe it or not, they are full steam ahead on creating, or at least adding to this universe in a very short amount of time. Paramount Pictures has, or maybe it's Universal, they have managed to acquire Gareth Edwards as a director for this film. They got David Cope, who wrote the original Jurassic Park 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. So they got their writer and their director. They also managed to acquire Scarlett Johansson in this film, along with Mahershala Ali. It came together rather quickly. They have already begun filming, if not wrapped filming. I'm not quite sure if they've wrapped yet or not, but they definitely have been filming. And this movie is set to go ahead and drop sometime next year. So they are striking while the iron is hot, figuring their last film made over $1 billion. So why not go ahead and continue on with this franchise? And this week, we wind up getting a couple of reveals. We got some brand new details for you guys about this upcoming movie, along with some first look images, as well as an official title, as this is the official title, Jurassic World Rebirth, presenting us a brand new logo for their upcoming film. I don't know if this is going to turn into a trilogy or not, or if this is a one-off, but I am kind of curious where this bigger picture is going to lead. We also wind up getting some brand new images. Also, our first shot here of Scarlett Johansson, along with our first shot also of Mahershala Ali, clearly being some sort of like military character. Maybe he's a guide, expert guide, or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but let's dive in a little bit more into Jurassic World Rebirth. I'll go ahead and bring up some of these images again for you guys, but let's go ahead and find out some details about this upcoming film, shall we? This actually comes to us from Deadline.com. New Jurassic World film unveils title and first look images. The new Jurassic World film from Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment got an official title on Thursday morning. Slated to open wide on Wednesday, July 2nd of 2025. The film is titled Jurassic World Rebirth. Man, July is becoming packed right now. July is becoming packed. I don't know who's got IMAX date set or when, who's going to be in Dolby or not, but you've got, and just to make sure that hold on, I'm going to go down the calendar here because I want to say, okay, Wednesday, July 2nd. And then, so that's a week and a half before we wind up getting Superman, which releases July 11th. And then 2 weeks after that, I believe July 25th is Fantastic Four. Let me know if I'm correct in that, but I believe we're going to have 3 huge blockbuster movies separated by 2 weeks to a week and a half. So Jurassic World Rebirth, followed by Fantastic Four, followed by Superman. This may be, let somebody mark this down, timestamp this moment. This may end up being like one of the biggest months in blockbuster history. I am kind of curious if all these movies make a ton of money, or if they're all going to just like cannibalize each other at the box office. The article says, starring Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, and Mahershala Ali, Jurassic World Rebirth sees an intrepid team racing to secure DNA samples from the 3 most colossal creatures across land, sea, and air. So they're trying to acquire DNA samples from 3 creatures. 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, the planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable to dinosaurs. So it seems like the dinosaurs are maybe dying off again because of our environment. Those remaining exist in isolated equatorial environments with climates resembling the one in which they once thrived. The 3 most colossal creatures within the tropical biosphere hold the key to a drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to humankind. So this sounds very much like maybe a corporation seeing the potential of what this would do for humans if we can just harness the power and the DNA of these creatures to create miraculous life-saving benefits. I mean, I feel like we've probably heard this before from other movies, if you will, but it's a pretty cool concept. I mean, I feel like I just recently read a book sort of like that also. I kind of, for some reason, I don't know why my head goes to like X-Men, the most recent like storyline of them, where like the mutants, based off of their island that they wind up living on, was able to create like different drugs for the human race if they gave like the mutant sovereignty or something like that from their island. So this is kind of cool. It looks like the 3 most colossal creatures within that tropical biosphere hold the key to a drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to humankind. Johansson plays Zora Bennett. You go ahead and pull up an image of her. She plays Zora Bennett, a skilled covert operations expert contracted to lead a team on a top secret mission to secure genetic material from the world's 3 most massive dinosaurs. When Zora's operation intersects with a civilian family whose boating expedition was capsized by marauding aquatic dinos, they all find themselves stranded on an island where they come face to face with a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades. Okay. What are you getting yourself into there, Zora? Bailey plays paleontologist Dr. Henry Loomis with Ali. Bring up Ali here. As Zora's most trusted team leader, Duncan Kincaid. Others in the cast include Rupert Friend as Big Pharma representative, Martin Reeves, and Manuel Garcia Rulfo as Ruben Delgado, the father of the shipwrecked civilian family. This kind of feels like kind of like elements of Jurassic World 3, where you have like the team that comes across like the stranded family. So it looks like there's going to be a mixture of paleontologists and covert operations team of Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali mixed in there with some family members of the shipwrecked civilian. Yeah, so we'll see. I am kind of curious as to, it does say that they get shipwrecked or they get stranded on an island. So I'm kind of curious if this is an island that we've seen before, or if this is a brand new island that some of the dinosaurs have just decided to move there based off of just survival at this point because of the ecology of Earth's atmosphere not really being that friendly for them to be hospitable in. So yeah, brand new details, guys. Look, I'm here for it. I can't remember if it was Stuart who wasn't necessarily a big fan of the Jurassic World film so much, but I definitely want to go ahead and revisit this world again. I have not, outside of Jurassic World, I didn't care for Fallen Kingdom. I think I've attempted to watch Dominion a couple of times, but it hasn't really caught my eye. I think I feel like I get into like halfway through the film and I just don't care to finish it. But maybe I should try and finish it before this movie winds up dropping at least. I am kind of curious to see what this world has definitely turned into. I've always been a big fan of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs sell, not just because I'm a Power Ranger fan, but I've always been a big fan of dinosaurs. It's actually kind of cool right now seeing my 2.5-year-old. He's about to be 3 in like 2 months. He's a big lover of dinosaurs right now. He's absolutely loving dinosaurs, and so I do feel like him and I right now are really connecting in that sense. And so like if it's got dinosaurs in it, I'm more than likely going to be there to certainly check it out. I'm a big fan of Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali's work, and I said this before when we've talked about this Jurassic World. The fact alone that they have managed to acquire two top-notch actors with the caliber of Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali, to me, lets me know that there's something promising within the script. I mean, you bring back the writer of the original movie and Lost World, and I'm definitely going to be paying attention to it for sure. Because there's no way that this is going to be a cash grab for both of these actors. Like, I just feel like they probably are very picky about the movies that they choose to be in. And so while the premise itself of like, hey, the DNA of these creatures have miraculous life-changing aspects for humans, like I feel like that's probably a trope that's been utilized quite often in movies. There's got to be more there. And when they talk about the idea of them getting stranded on an island where there's like a secret that's been buried for decades, not centuries, but decades, it does make me wonder, like, what is this secret? There's a part of me that, like, for the longest time, after watching the first Jurassic Park movie, you guys remember when the fat guy, the scientist, he stole all the DNAs and he put it inside of like shaving cream bottle, and then he tries to escape the island, but he winds up getting attacked, and it falls out of the car, and then it just gets covered up with mud and stuff. And like, that's the last time that it was ever brought up to us, right? Like, they didn't talk about it in Lost World, they didn't talk about it in Jurassic Park 3. I don't think they even talked about it in the Jurassic World movies. So there is a part of me, and when they say decades instead of centuries, right? Like, it's not like this is a secret that's been hidden since the time of dinosaurs. When they say something that's been buried or hidden for decades, it feels like maybe a man-made sort of secret, or something that has been discovered that was left behind by humans, or that people knew about this, but it got lost to time. And so, is this the same? Like, I don't know if this is going to be the same island. They talk about getting stranded on an island. Whether or not this ends up being the same island from the first Jurassic World or not, that I don't know, because I feel like they would probably name drop that in the synopsis. So I don't know where this what island they're certainly referring to. So I don't know if this is a brand new island that they're visiting, or if this is one that we've seen before. But I still think it would be cool. Like, I still think like you've got like this huge, I don't want to say plot hole, but you got a huge plot device just chilling on one of these islands for you guys. If that shaving cream bottle ever gets discovered. So I don't know what the secret is, but clearly the secret must be impactful enough to bring somebody like Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali on board to read the script and be like, damn, I need to be a part of this movie, especially based off of how quickly this movie wound up kind of coming together. So I'm fascinated by it, man. Again, I haven't necessarily been pleased with what we've gotten in the last couple of Jurassic World films, but I'm intrigued. I'm definitely going to go ahead and give this movie a shot. Marcelino, what's up? He says, movie qualities aside, what are your thoughts on the hybrids like Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor? He says, I like the Indominus Rex more and the themes it represented. The Indoraptor felt repetitive, wasn't used much, and it didn't look different enough from the Indominus Rex. I'm a big fan. I am a big fan of the Indominus Rex. Like, when I see it in Jurassic World, it feels super threatening. I agree with you. I love the themes that it certainly represents. The Indoraptor, clearly it's forgettable for me. Clearly it's pretty forgettable for me. It's not something that I write home about, honestly. I think when I first initially saw it, I probably felt the same way as you, Marcelino, that it was repetitive. Like, I feel like I've kind of seen this design a bunch of times. It is just one of those things where it's like, I know raptors are super popular, but it's like, we got a bunch of raptors already, and I think that's what hurts. Give me like a Indo-Brontosaurus or some shit that's like meant to be like a a plant eater, a herbivore, but they turn it into a carnivore. Like, give me something crazy like that. Like, I'll take something crazy like that, where you can manipulate herbivores to now be carnivores. But like the Indoraptor, I agree with you. It just feels a little bit too repetitive. I'm a much bigger fan of the Indominus Rex. But yeah, guys, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. The first look details on Jurassic World Rebirth, along with the brand new images. Are you excited for another Jurassic World movie? What do you think about the concept and a synopsis behind this? Certainly go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. Let's see here. Shout out to my girlfriend for certainly coming through, liking the video, sharing the video. I mean, she's my promotional team today, man. So look, guys, if you are watching us live, do us a big favor, hit that like button, share this video, retweet this video, let people know that we are currently live right now, going through some of the hottest topics this week. If I could be frank with you, I feel like this was like the hardest week to try and find content to talk about, honestly. I don't even necessarily know if going into this weekend's episode of Hero Report, if I was like really pumped to talk about a lot of these topics. I almost felt like it was a struggle just to find stuff to talk about this week, if I could be perfectly honest with you guys. Hopefully next week will be a little bit better. And hopefully I have myself at least somebody opposite of me in Stuart or Indy to certainly go ahead and talk about some of these topics. But let's change course a little bit. We got 2 more topics left. We're actually kind of breezing through some of this stuff today. I wanted to bring this next topic up because this was almost sort of a staple, if you will, in my grandparents' household. For those of you who don't know, I'm half black and I'm half Puerto Rican. Puerto Rican on my dad's side. And one of the movies that I feel like used to come on all the time during the holidays, whether that be Thanksgiving or Christmas, was La Bamba. The story of Richie Valens, played by none other than Lou Diamond Phillips. This is how I personally learned of Lou Diamond Phillips as a kid. I believe his brother was played by Issei Morales. Man, you know what? You know what? That's crazy. That's so crazy to me that I'm reading his name off of this poster, Issei Morales, and I'm just thinking to myself, that's the same dude that played Deathstroke, isn't it? From Titans. Like it never connected with me that that's Issei Morales in La Bamba this whole entire time. Like I've seen this movie more times than I can remember, and it never once dawned on me that that's the same guy. I see him much more as an older gentleman now. It didn't even connect with me that homeboy was in La Bamba. He looks so young and so different to me. Like it didn't even connect until I saw his name. I'm like, holy crap, that is the same dude. It's crazy. It's crazy how that works out sometimes. But La Bamba is in the news because believe it or not, we have ourselves a remake in development. That's right, y'all. Let's go ahead and dive into this news. Where'd it go? La Bamba. There we go. Let me go ahead and bring this up here. This is from Variety.com. La Bamba remake in development from Mucho Mas Media and Sony Pictures. This is an exclusive article. Richie Valens is headed back to the big screen. Mucho Mas Media and Sony Pictures have teamed up to develop a remake of the Golden Globe nominated 1987 film La Bamba, based on the life of the rock and roll legend. Luis Valdez, the writer and director of the original film, is on board as an executive producer. Hey, that's brilliant to me. Luis Valdez, the writer and the director of the original film, is on board as an executive producer. That is a huge win, if you ask me. Oscar-nominated writer Jose Rivera for The Motorcycle Diaries On the Road is attached to pen the script. You know, anytime that you can bring in somebody that worked on the original and is probably very well known for the story and the life of Richie Valens, bringing them on board in some capacity, especially as executive producer, I think is a huge win to keeping this movie sort of as in line with Richie Valens' life as possible. Louis Diamond Phillips portrayed Valdez in the original movie, which depicted the 17-year-old Mexican-American's rise to fame from field laborer to rock star with a string of hit singles and a date with destiny. La Bamba was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Drama and for Song of the Year at the 1988 Grammys. I didn't know it was nominated for Song of the Year. Valens is considered an icon of rock and roll, known worldwide for his hit songs Donna. Yes, I do. I love that song. We Belong Together and the eponymous La Bamba. His meteoric ascent was cut short when he died at 17 in a plane crash with Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper. I visited Lubbock, Texas years ago. I don't know if it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that they have there or not. No, I don't think it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I went somewhere that was like a museum, a rock and roll museum, and I think even the house of Buddy Holly was out there also. But the museum that we went to highlighted a Buddy Holly along with Richie Valens because of the fact that they were friends and connected at the waist, and the idea that they unfortunately was on the plane at that time. Together with rock and roll classics of Richie Valens, my 1987 biopic La Bamba was graciously withstood the test of time, and yet the tragically short life and career of Richie Valenzuela continues to inspire new generations of fans the world over. As new biographical details have come to light, a new cinematic look at his eternally young 17 years on Earth can only add to his undying legend. I'm really glad that Valdez said that. It is one of those things where sometimes you ask yourself, like, why make a remake? Even though we've got the story of his life kind of told for us. the idea that he says, as new biographical details have come to life, a new cinematic look at his eternally young 17 years on Earth can only add to his undying legend. I think that's great. If you've got other, people from rock and roll or other family members or, other executives that might have some like details about Richie Valens' life. Yeah, if some of that stuff kind of comes out, why not put that in the film? I think that'll certainly just add to his legacy. He says, we're honored and humbled to be retelling Richie's story, the story of an incredible young Latino man who inspired so many through his music and prodigious talent. We look to uphold and celebrate the original films in way Luis Valdez and filmmakers of La Bamba made a classic. The question I have now is, who are they going to cast to play Richie Valens? I can't wait to hear some of this music again on the big screen. Again, I was a big fan. Donna and La Bamba are like two of my favorite Richie Valens songs. But I really want to revisit this. Again, I used to watch this all the time in my grandparents' house during either Thanksgiving or Christmas. But I think for me, somebody's got to interview Louis Diamond Phillips and see how he feels about the idea of La Bamba being remade. I definitely want to know his thoughts. And if anything, I will be really curious and excited for a new Latino male lead to kind of step up in this role, not just from an acting perspective, but also from like a performance expectation too, right? Like I would assume if he doesn't know how to play the guitar, he's gonna learn. Or if he doesn't, if he doesn't know how to sing, maybe he'll learn also. But I'm sure there's plenty of talented Latino men out there that can do both and act. And I'm really excited to kind of see who's going to take this opportunity. If it's somebody that we've seen before, that's going to get thrusted into this spotlight, or if it's going to be a brand newcomer to Hollywood. Either one, I'm perfectly okay with. But yeah, man, I'm excited for this. 1987, this movie came out, and look, I am a believer that like after 20-25 years, if we've had a movie already for it, there probably is room for it to be retold. Every 20-30 years, it's sort of like a new generation of people. Some people like watching older films. Some people need something that's a little bit more updated and current for today's time. Granted, we're not going to tell a Richie Valens story as if it was in 2023. Clearly, the setting and the time period will certainly stay the same. But if there is new details that we know about Richie Valens and his life, and some of the things that he did to become the icon that he certainly was at such a young age, I personally want to know about it. Speaking of which, like, watching my little boy grow up, we read to him every night. And I think it was either myself or maybe my mom actually purchased like a board book, little kid book to read, like for a toddler, a board book of Richie Valens' life. And maybe my mom knew I grew up with La Bamba a lot, so she thought it would be pretty cool. But it's also like dual in English and in Spanish. And I think that's one of the other things that we wanted for our son too, was that to have that opportunity for him to be able to read or at least learn English and Spanish, even though unfortunately we don't really read to him in Spanish as much as we probably should. But it is definitely an option there. And so the fact that I even read the story of Richie Valens to my little boy, I think says something in regards to just how impactful Richie Valens and La Bamba certainly was for my life. And a future generation also. So I definitely do think that there is certainly room here for a remake. So yeah, man, bring it on. La Bamba is coming to theaters, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I'm excited. I think that was one story I was really looking forward to learning about. Ram Jam says Richie Valens will be 83 today. That's crazy. Oh, Donna. Oh, Donna. Yeah, I love that song, man. He's got some good ones. It's just so tragic. Like him and Buddy Holly dying at such a young age, man. Like just the idea about like how impactful, like how even more impactful their legacies certainly could have been had they survived. If I'm not mistaken, I don't even think Richie liked planes, right? Like in the movie, didn't he have like second thoughts about even getting on the plane in the first place. Like, I don't think he was a big fan of flying, and I think the weather was like horrendous too. And they're like, "Hey, we got to get to this next show," sort of thing, and really persuaded him to get on this plane. I don't, if I remember correctly, I don't think he cared for flying at all. So yeah, man, sad stuff, but plenty of legacy after all these years. So certainly, and he had a fever too. Yeah, it's a terrible situation for him to even be on that plane in the first place. But tragic stuff, man. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. What's your connection to Richie Valens? Have you heard any of his music? Did you watch the first La Bamba movie? Are you eager to see a remake of it? Certainly go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, we will dive into our last topic of the day. As you know, even though I have been a huge fan of the Rings of Power, we just started that this week. One series that I'm also a big fan of, The House of the Dragon, literally just wrapped up its second season several weeks ago. While I personally have enjoyed the second season, I definitely know that there are quite a few people that personally felt that this took a step back after season one. And I know a lot of people weren't necessarily pleased with the cliffhanger that we wind up getting left with when it comes to season two. And so people have been pretty vocal lately about their displeasure in season two of The House of Dragon. But apparently, George R.R. Martin has some things to say about it as well that I find kind of fascinating. He hasn't remarked on it yet, but it seems as though he has plans to. But the fact that George R.R. Martin even brings this up is fascinating to me. So I do want to go ahead and highlight what George R.R. Martin certainly has to say here. Even though I had one of my friends, Luger, he commented on this article on our Facebook page and said, "George, just shut up and finish writing your books." I mean, this man has been promising to finish his Game of Thrones books for like the longest time, and this man I don't even know. Look, he says he's been working on it. Who knows if he has been, but he's been busy. He clearly has been busy trying to help HBO or Warner Brothers, I should say, come up with brand new Max original series. I mean, they've got a bunch of like new spin-offs and stuff that are in early development. Doesn't mean a lot of this stuff is going to get the opportunity to see the light of day. But George R.R. Martin has been very busy in regards to being hands-on with the production of a lot of these shows, certainly behind the scenes. And so George R.R. Martin set to discuss his issues with House of the Dragon. Let's go ahead and bring this up here for you guys. This comes to us from Variety.com. According to them, he says, "I don't look forward to revealing everything that's gone wrong with the House of the Dragon, but I need to do that soon." That's what he says, and that ends up becoming the headline. Game of Thrones creator and author George R.R. Martin has revealed in a new blog post that he'll soon write about everything that's gone wrong with the HBO spinoff series, which finished airing its second season earlier this month. Martin has used his personal blog over the years to give updates on House of the Dragon production. His long-delayed Winds of Winter book, and other thoughts. But this is the first time his tone has shifted towards the House of the Dragon prequel, which is based on the Fire and Blood novel. This is what he says. He says, "I do not look forward to other posts I need to write about everything that's gone wrong with House of the Dragon, but I need to do that too, and I will. Not today, though. Today is Azazel Bra's day, when we turn away from gloom," Martin wrote on Friday. "It is Santa Fe's way of devouring the darkness to clear the way for the light and the joy that will hopefully mark a new year. And believe me, we need that more than ever before." He says, "The world, the country, and yes, certainly me. This has not been a good year for anyone, with war everywhere and fascism on the rise. And on a personal level, I have had a pretty wretched year as well. One full of stress, anger, conflict, and defeat. I need to talk about that. I need to talk about some of that, and I will. I was away from my computer traveling from July 13th to August 15th, so a lot of things that needed saying did not get said." The criticism may come as a surprise to some, given that Martin, who's a co-creator and executive producer on House of Dragon, took his blog midway during season 2 run to praise the 4th episode. Has there been a dragon battle? God damn, Variety, what are you doing to me today? Has there been a dragon battle to match it? Martin asked his readers. I seem to recall that Reign of Fire had a few scenes where dozens of dragons were wheeling through the skies. So, okay, maybe that was a bigger scene and more dragons on screen, but a better battle? I don't think so. Our guys knocked this one out of the castle. However, in the same post, Martin did acknowledge one bit of contention he had with House of the Dragon, and that it used the incorrect sigil for House Targaryen. The correct sigil features a 2-legged dragon, while the show featured a 4-legged one. He says they went with the bad sigil rather than the good one. That sound you heard screaming, no, no, no. Those damned extra legs have even wormed their way onto covers of my books over my strenuous objections. Some fans were disappointed with the season 2 finale, which ended on a similar cliffhanger to season 1, teasing an all-out Targaryen war between the green and black factions. Season 2 also cut down to 8 episodes after the 10-episode season 1, which left many fans wanting more battles in the sophomore season. Martin was complimentary on going into season 2. He took to his blog after watching the first 2 episodes of the season to tell his readers both episodes were just great, dark, mind you, very dark. They made me cry. Powerful, emotional, gut-wrenching, heart-rending, just the sort of thing I like. So it's been renewed for a 3rd season. The plan is for the show to have a 4th and final season as well. So we got 2 more seasons of the show certainly set to go. But it does bring up the idea that George R.R. Martin himself not too pleased. Clearly something is bothering him about season 2. Clearly, I think the last comment he had was in regards to episode number 4, so the midway of the show, and after that we have not heard what George R.R. Martin has certainly thought of this series so far. Look, it is interesting to me for a couple of reasons here. One, if he's going to complain about the idea that they used the incorrect sigil for House Targaryen, my question would be to the creators or the writers of this show and those filming, like, why aren't you listening to this man? Like, if he's pleading for you, like, hey, use this different sigil, because I'm pretty sure they probably decided to use something, and George R.R. Martin probably said, no, don't use that one, use this one. And somebody clearly still decided to use the other one. I am kind of confused as to, like, why nobody's listening to this man when he's the one that kind of wrote it. And I guess also the big question I would then have is, look, while I'm very much an understander that you can't adapt everything from a book to movie or television series, right? You can adapt, but then I do think you need to certainly take some liberties in regards to certain things, whether that means to help the pacing of the show, add more drama, add more conflict, certainly somewhere here or there. I'm sure that probably took some liberties for House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones as well, that George R.R. Martin clearly understands. But I guess for me, my big thing would be, let's not upset the creator too much. Let's not like really get under his skin. Granted, we are making this television show to be as compelling for general audience members as we possibly can. But I do wonder at what point in time during the filming of this, because I'm sure George has had to have seen dailies, right? Is he not an executive producer on the show? Like, I got to assume that he's been able to work closely with those that have been filming and putting this show together. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I would assume that as an executive producer and a creator of this show, that you would get a glimpse of how this show is kind of coming along. So, why he doesn't say anything earlier in the development of this season, kind of is a little eye-opening to me. It does make me wonder, how involved are you then with the creation of this show if you're now going to speak about something that you aren't pleased about, was this something that was an issue during filming that you brought up that they still didn't listen to you, right? And if that's the case, if HBO is not listening to some of your suggestions and the creator's perspective of putting this together, maybe you should take your property somewhere else that people will listen to you. Is it a case of George not understanding the idea that, hey, man, sometimes these things that you want can't necessarily be adapted properly? Like, is there creative back and forth between these two that don't necessarily work out? For me, I didn't have a problem so much with the cliffhanger. I mean, well, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I think when it first happens, when the episode ends the way it does, I think me and the girlfriend looked at each other, or I at least looked at the TV, and I was like, no, you didn't. I know you didn't just do that. Like, I know you didn't just do that. But then the casual TV goer in me also remembers plenty of times where I've watched television series that have left me on huge cliffhangers, in which I've been wanting to see like the finale of this big battle kind of come together, But I kind of expect that out of television series these days, in the sense of not necessarily completing the story that you want to be told, but then moving that story into the next season and leaving us kind of hanging on the edge of our seats to kind of see how it would be resolved. I think the difference here is that it would have been nice to have had some things resolved, and maybe some things were, right? Like with Damon kneeling before Rhaenyra, letting her know, despite all this season of us thinking he was going to betray her, or he's doing this thing for him to eventually be king instead of Rhaenyra, the fact that he answers those questions for us, I think, is at least one closure to a storyline that we had questions for. But it then does open up the last question of how is this war certainly going to go down? And I think a lot of us were really anticipating seeing how that turned out. I do wonder if the issue that George R. R. Martin has is maybe he feels season 2 should have been 10 episodes long, right? Instead of leaving the cliffhanger, but giving us sort of a dose of the war that's set to come. Like, had we had a full 10 episodes, maybe the ending of season 2 would have been a little bit more refreshing or more welcoming, right? Like, giving us a glimpse of some of the battle having begun, but then leave the cliffhanger sort of somewhere else. Whereas season 1 very much to us felt like we're brewing, we're building, we're really getting this ready. Here comes the finale you guys have been wanting for and stuff, but then just to kind of leave it flat and a little unfinished. I can get behind why some people felt this way about season 2 in that sense. There is a part of me that wants to push back and say, guys, it's television, right? Like, we're used to cliffhangers when it comes to that sort of thing, but maybe this one felt a little bit different and a little bit underwhelming. And I can see the argument that some people would have in the sense of like, we got robbed. And I say that in the sense of I'm starting to have more and more issues with streaming services in regards to the amount of episodes that we're getting for our shows, right? Like, to me, for what we're paying, I much rather go back to the days of 15 episodes, 12 episodes. I don't necessarily know if I need a 20 episode season like we did back in the day for a lot of these ABC and CW shows. Like trying to rewatch Lost with my girlfriend is almost like excruciating now because we got like 20 plus episodes per season. Sometimes it feels like it's too much. But I do think that there's a good balance in between. The fact that we had 10 episodes for the first season of House of Dragon, why eliminate 2 of them? If it's for budgetary reasons, I mean, maybe work your way around it. But the idea of taking away 2 episodes and then giving us a cliffhanger that I think us as viewers probably feel like had we had 10 episodes, we would have gotten some of that. So it does feel like you're pulling us along, pulling the rug from under us at times. It just makes it feel like you're cheapening your product more and more. The idea of 6 to 8 episode seasons. And I just did a clip about this when we talked about this last week on A Plus Hero Report and the cancellation of the Acolyte and things like that. Like, the fact that streaming services now, it almost feels like it's the norm to give us 6 to 8 episodes, and they expect these shows to be big hits, that we're supposed to emotionally become gripped to these characters and the storylines within 6 to 8 episodes. And to me, it just doesn't feel like that's enough time. And so there is an element of, let's get back to double digit episodes, guys. 10 episode seasons, 15 episode seasons, 12 episode seasons. But these single digit stuff is just not working. And so I do wonder what it is that George R. Martin has an issue with. If it's the storytelling, if it's the creative liberties, if it's, maybe he expected more out of season 2 also. Maybe he feels like they're really doing their part to stretch out this show longer than it needs to be, and kind of taking advantage of the viewing audience a little bit. And so I am really curious as to what George R. Martin certainly has to say. Maybe it's none of those things for all we know. But my thing would be, as the creator of these books and these characters, while yes, you are making a show for general audiences, and yes, there definitely needs to be creative liberties at time, I think you want to make sure that you and the creator are always on the same page in regards to bringing this to life. And if something does go wrong in the show, you want your creator to be on your side and say, yeah, this is kind of what we decided on because yada, 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 because of point one, point two and point three. Whereas now you've got George R. Martin out here saying, there's some things that I wasn't necessarily a really big fan of. So I do wonder how vocal he was about all this stuff to management before the series came out. And if he sort of bit his tongue and now he wants to let all this stuff out, even though maybe he could have said something sooner, and now he's here to kind of complain and whine about it. I really don't know. But if I'm HBO, if I'm Warner Brothers, like, I'm not trying to get George R. Martin mad, especially after a second season that a lot of people felt was taking a step back from season 1. Whereas, hey, you look at something like Rings of Power 2, and we got a little bit of an improvement here for Rings of Power season 2. No, I'm not trying to compare the two, but it is interesting to kind of see the roles a little bit more reversed here. So we'll see when I have no idea when George R. Martin is gonna say what he's got to say, but hopefully he'll say it soon. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts. What were your overall thoughts in regards to House of the Dragon season 2? For the most part, again, me and the girlfriend were a big fan. She wanted us to tune in every weekend for it. I think she was a fan of it. Maybe I have to ask her again. I enjoyed some of the developments that we wind up getting. Did I want a little bit more? Yeah, absolutely. I definitely do felt like I needed 2 more episodes for sure. It definitely left me wanting more. In a sense, like, it felt like there was more story to be told, but you guys are trying to hold back and put all that stuff on us on season 3. And I do think season 3 will be a huge improvement. I think once we get the very first episode, people are going to be just drawn in again to House of the Dragon, like they didn't have an issue with season 2. That's how it always certainly works. But I do think maybe the execution and the planning of season 2 probably could have been handled a little bit better and a little bit tighter. So we'll see how it goes, though. Once George R. Martin starts talking about it, though, you best believe we're going to talk about it here on A Plus Hero Report. So hit that subscribe button, guys, if you haven't done so yet, along with that like button and retweeting. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to what could it possibly be that George R. Martin is upset about. Let us know your guys' thoughts down below. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. I was distracted by a comment that had through. Before we get into live viewer questions, I do want to say something here real quick too. And this is not to offend anybody. This is just, me sort of personally, um, it's becoming harder and harder to become fans of almost anything these days, or at least to be a fan um, in regards to certain fandoms. People are really out there these days to kind of take your love and enjoyment away from some of your favorite fandoms. I posted this on Twitter this past week. I see the back and forth in regards to Star Wars all the time. I'm starting to see this also when it comes to Lord of the Rings and stuff. There's just an idea of like you liking something that somebody else doesn't like, um, not making you not a true fan of something. Um, it feels like it's just been highlighted a lot more for me lately because of the fact that we post a lot of reels and stuff over on our Facebook page, and man, you guys would be it would be incredible. Like to see the vitriol that some people have in regards to some of these fandoms and franchises, it's really disturbing to read. Like I've read a lot of really disturbing and hateful comments on our Facebook page for some shows like The Rings of Power and The Acolyte. Like people really take the time out of their day to not only shit on this show, but to shit on people that really enjoy things. And so every once in a while, I'll get a comment that really just like floors me or sidetracks me sometimes. I'm really thankful for when I do get the good comments or the comments that actually are either pro because they really like the show, or even people that didn't like the show, but they have some sort of constructive criticism behind it. I appreciate. But I'll tell you what, man, 9 times out of 10, it's all hate, and it's really really disturbing, to be quite frank with you. It says my mic is cutting out. Tell me if you can hear me a little bit better. I was playing. I had my headphones in, and they had something pop up. So it was the music playing through my headphones, so maybe it was like interfering with my actual mic. But let me know if let me know how it sounds now. There was another comment that was left for me, but I'm trying to see. I don't know if they left a comment or if they reacted. I thought maybe it was they reacted, but it says they left a comment, but I can't read it now. Okay, better now? Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get into our live viewer questions, guys. But yeah, anyway, I'm sorry I didn't mean to go on that tangent, but it really does make being a fan hard these days. And there's a part of me that contemplates if I even want to be on social media like Twitter anymore. And I mean that in the sense of, the only reason why I'm really there is just to promote the show, because outside of that, Twitter is just, or X has just become so negative that it doesn't make me feel like it's a safe space to just interact with other fans and talk about things that we love, because the fandoms have just become overwritten by just really toxic and hateful people, unfortunately. Like it really has. So it blows my mind when people have pushback in the sense of like, oh, nobody's being toxic, there's no such thing as, like, no, there really is. And that's not just people that don't like the show, but there's people that are just really toxic in the sense of not liking the show for the most hateful of reasons. Like that's not all fans, but people will try and categorize that as, oh, you're saying all fans are like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. Like, and I think people that try and misconstrue what's being said are those types of fans, and they want other fans to feel like, oh, well, you're a part of this group too. Like, nah, bro, we're not alike. Like you and me are certainly not alike in that sense. Ram Jam says, I do hate the fandom sometimes, so-called gatekeepers. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there, man. There's a lot of them out there. And what's even crazier is that there's a lot of them out there that think that they know that they're knowledgeable about a certain thing, when in reality they really aren't. Or they feel that they're knowledgeable because they're hearing other people talk about it, and so they feel like they have acquired the knowledge to know what's right and what's wrong, when in reality they really don't know as much as they certainly claim to think. um so it is what it is, man. Sometimes it just doesn't make me, sometimes it literally does not make me want to interact with the fandom anymore, because I just remember a day when we used to celebrate the things that we love when we're in our fandoms and franchises, and nowadays people spend more time hating on a franchise that they claim to love than spending more time actually celebrating the things that they like. And I said this last week too, and it still holds true in the sense of, you know, these people that are gatekeepers or claim to be really big fans of these franchises, the question that I would ponder to them is, how much time out of the day do you spend uplifting the franchise with the things that you love about the franchise, compared to how much time you spend being a gatekeeper and telling people that they aren't fans for liking something, or shitting on the content that cast and crew members worked really hard for? Like, regardless if you like the series or not, the idea of celebrating a cancellation of the show, of people losing, their jobs, and, spending all your time throughout the day to just hate on something. Again, being knowledgeable of something doesn't make you a fan. What makes you a fan is how much you love. And you don't have to love everything that the franchise is certainly putting out. But the idea of you celebrating the downfall of something is truly disturbing to me. And to me, that's just not what true fandom certainly is. And so I would just ask yourself, how much out of the day do you take celebrating and talking about the things that you love about the franchise, compared to how much time that you spend bickering and arguing and trying to make a point, and bring somebody else's love for something down in the franchise than your own? And it's just really disturbing what social media has turned some of these fandoms into. And so it really has made me not want to be on social media as much. It's really made me stop respecting people's opinions as much, really based off of like the lane in which you as a viewer sort of approach it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. I just had to go on that rant. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into our next segment of the day.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into live viewer questions for today's show. I'm also, hold on one moment here. I'm also going to go ahead and put on some music. All right. Now that we got that going, if the music is too loud, somebody let me know. My voice will be distorted for a small, brief period of time. All right. So if you were wondering, how do I submit live your questions? It's pretty simple. Just go over to our YouTube page, as you see right here. Again, every Saturday or Sunday, or excuse me, every Saturday afternoon or evening, we'll go ahead and drop a post on that community tab. And then boom, right there. We got live viewer questions for you guys. Go ahead and submit your questions over. We got 9 comments. Maybe some we're going to go through all of them. Sam, look at Sam coming through the first question today. Appreciate you coming through, Sam. Sam says, I watched Terminator 0 episodes 1 through 2 was really good. I've heard really great things about it. I think right now it's like a critic score of like 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. I haven't checked it out myself yet, but I plan on it. Hopefully we'll have ourselves a review for you guys later on this week. Again, after I finish wrapping up this show, if anything, I'll probably record Rings of Power seasons or episodes 1 through 3 review for you guys. Drop that on Monday, and then maybe somewhere in the middle of the week we'll finally get to Terminator Zero. But I definitely want to go ahead and check it out. I saw one of the clips that they dropped. Really compelling stuff, man. So I'm looking forward to it. Sam, you also say Jurassic World Rebirth is the new title, and it's a really good name. Yeah, I kind of dig the name. Also, new film next year called Animal Friends, live action animated comedy with Ryan Reynolds, Jason Momoa, and Vince Vaughn. It'll be interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting duo for sure. I do love me some Vince Vaughn. It's been a while since I've seen him in anything though. Would you like to see Iron Fist recast by Neil Patrick Harris? Probably not. Probably not. He's a little bit too old. I don't know if I could take Neil Patrick Harris serious, and I think he's probably a little bit too old for the role of Iron Fist. But if anything, I'm open to brand new casting for Iron Fist if they want to get a little bit younger. You know, there's a new Iron Fist from the Marvel comic books. If that's a route that they certainly wanted to go, they could certainly do that. I'm also open to the idea of Colleen Wing? Can't remember her last name. I wouldn't mind Colleen coming back from the Iron Fist series and becoming the new Iron Fist for the show. I think that'd be pretty cool too. I do like Jessica Henwick. I think the last time I saw Jessica Henwick, she was in the new Matrix movie. And then I also believe I saw her in the most recent Knives Out movie, Glass Onion, also, if I'm not mistaken. Doomsday, do you think it's cool how both us and the actor who played Gemba don't know that much about his character? That is pretty interesting. Did something happen with Gemba 2 here this week? I thought I saw a couple people posting about Gemba. I don't know if something happened with this character. Somebody said that I feel like I've been betrayed, and they had a picture of Gemba, but I don't know if that's Gemba related. Like, did he do something to the team? But it is interesting that the actor didn't know much about his character. It does make me wonder if there's a secret about Gemba that hasn't been revealed yet, and so they really want to kind of keep some of that stuff close to the vest and secret. So we'll see how the rest of the season continues. If there's a big reveal for Gemba and his character, that could probably be why he didn't know too much about his character. Outside of that, though, if there's really not that much to go, I would be curious as to like where he finds his inspiration for being Gemba, considering the fact that he doesn't know too much about him, and it would feel like a little bit weak writing to me character-wise. But I've really enjoyed, from the episodes that I've watched, I've enjoyed everybody's chemistry for the most part. I've noticed quite a few reaction channels on YouTube are now watching Power Ranger seasons like Dino Thunder in Space, Jungle Fury, and SPD. Do you consider this a movement to branch out and give other seasons some love and recognition instead of just sticking with the original Mighty Morphin? Yeah, probably. I didn't know that they were doing reactions for those. I'm surprised that Hasbro hasn't struck them down with copyright things like that. But I mean, that's pretty cool. I like when people do reactions to other Power Ranger series. Like for me, I watch a lot of like music reactions, and I'm a big Eminem fan. I've been a big Eminem fan ever since high school. The first Eminem CD I picked up was the Marshall Mathers LP, and it changed my life. So like for me, it's really cool now to kind of see a new generation kind of doing music reactions or reactions to Eminem music. Because to me, it just kind of expands his music and his recognition to another audience and another generation of people. And that's kind of how I view that too. People reacting to Power Ranger stuff, you know. I don't know if they're all older heads that, you know, eventually watched it before, a lot of these seasons before, but the idea of them going back and reacting to it and breaking things down, I think is really helpful for a new generation for sure. Also, you say, while some people don't like the morphing calls in the newest Power Rangers, feel really long like Dino Charge, Ninja Steel, and Dino Fury, and prefer the shorter morpher calls like Turbo, Lost Galaxy, and Time Force, do you think it made sense for the new morph calls to be longer since those morphers are more complex compared to the older seasons? Yeah, I don't mind the longer morph calls. I kind of dig it, but it would make sense, you know, the idea of the morphers being more complex compared to the older seasons. I don't know if that's the reasoning, you know, but it would make sense. You know, it would make sense for me, at least. Doomsday. Blossom, what's up, Blossom? Do you remember the Tokuga's 10 Years Later film? I don't think I ever watched the 10 Years Later film. You think that our counterparts for them should have their kids' selves fight with them like they did in the movie? Nah, I would go a different route. I would go a different route. You know, I know you take inspiration from a lot of this stuff, but in that regards, I'd probably go a different route. Remember how Solon explained Lord Zed's story to Ollie? Hasbro really did their homework. I sure as heck would say. Yeah, I mean, if anything, I don't know if I would say Hasbro really did their homework, or at least the showrunners really did their homework. You know, I don't know if they had Chip Lynn still involved or not. I'm sure there's probably like there's got to be like a Power Rangers Bible somewhere, right? So I'm sure, you know, and also you are bringing on, you know, they also did bring on writers that had previous experience from other Power Rangers series too. So, you know, Simon Bennett certainly had a lot working for him in regards to familiar people and familiar faces around him to help do a lot of that homework and heavy lifting. So would I give the credit to Hasbro? Probably not, but I definitely would give the credit to Simon Bennett and his writing team. Jessica Friedman, would you like to see another 19s cartoon get an X-Men 97 reboot? And would you like to see the Time Force Rangers get their own comic book series? No, I'm cool with the Time Force Rangers not getting their own series. I am kind of fascinated to see what they're going to be doing with this Power Ranger Prime thing that they're talking about here. Feeling very much like an alternate universe for Power Rangers. I am more fascinated in that. So I much rather them embark on new stories being told in a more creative way instead of revisiting some of the past Rangers. But, you know, look, Boom Studios probably has the ability to tackle any other Power Ranger team if they certainly wanted to, but I'm more fascinated in the new route that they're taking. As far as other 90s 90s cartoons, let me see. 90s cartoons. Let's see what pulls up here. Oh, there's a couple on here. Let's see. I wouldn't mind a new Gargoyles. Gargoyles would be really cool. I think Gargoyles really jumps out at me. Top cartoon, Captain Planet. I don't know if I want a Captain Planet, even though right now would probably be the best one. I actually would be open to an Iron Man, to be honest with you. I remember Iron Man and Fantastic Four, and I think maybe even the Incredible Hulk coming like back to back to back on like UPN, I think, back in the day. I would be open to that. I'm trying to see what else pops up on here. Yeah, those are. I feel like they tried to do a reboot recently, didn't they? Didn't they just try and do a reboot? Gargoyles would probably be the one that's up there for me as far as like doing a new thing on. It would probably be Gargoyles if I had to pick one. Marcelino, what's up, Marcelino? Many fans have said they do not want the MCU to adopt the Dark Phoenix saga because it has been adapted to death, both in the movies and twice in the cartoons. However, what's weird to me is that these same people also want Tom Holland to wear the black suit when that same storyline has been adapted to death just as many times. Not only that, it's been recently adapted for last year's Spider-Man 2 PS5. Dark Phoenix adaptations have been dormant since 2019. My coworker believes that it's just a loud minority who want the black suit saga to be adapted yet again. But what do you think the reason is? I think just nostalgia. You know, I think the black suit is a really pivotal moment in Peter's life. I think people kind of dig the concept of seeing Peter go a little bit darker. And you're right. It to a certain extent, it probably has been adapted to death. You know, you talk about last year's Spider-Man 2 PS5. You know, to be fair, not everybody does play video games though. So, like, if I'm just a movie goer and a TV goer, You know, the last thing that I remember of Spider-Man's black suit, unfortunately, is Spider-Man 3. So I'm not gonna lie, there is a part of me who would like to see the black suit saga adapted again. And I say that only in the sense of I really like Tom Holland as an actor. I think he's done remarkable work as Spider-Man. And I kind of would like to see how he tackles the black suit concept. Not to take anything away from Tobey Maguire, but you know, Spider-Man 3 is just one of those films that I think some of us would like to kind of forget. And I think movie-wise, that's really the only time that we've seen Spider-Man don the suit. So I do think that there is a place for it to pop back up. You know, whether or not you take the same creative beats of Spider-Man 3 or adapted directly from the comic books. I mean, I do think that you probably will have to take your own liberties. Like, I don't need another Eddie Brock. Like, I don't think, if anything, like, I don't need Kraven the Hunter involved. I really do think that the black suit may literally be for like a moment in a movie and like Secret Wars, and maybe that's the extent of it. I don't even know if it's something that pops up in Spider-Man 4. Maybe it does. I don't know. But if they can have a creative take on the black suit saga with Tom Holland, I would be open for it. But I'm not screaming to sort of the high heavens about it. And I it's one of those things too where movie-wise and television-wise, you've only really attempted it once. So I do think that there is I want to say an appetite, but I do think that you could probably get away with trying to adapt it again. With the Dark Phoenix saga, it's a little bit different for me personally. I as much as I love the story, I don't want to see it again. I just think X-Men: The Last Stand ruined it. I thought we were going to get something even better from Dark Phoenix, the Simon Kinberg last X-Men film. Didn't really work for me as an adaptation, and so I just don't know if a Dark Phoenix adaptation works on the big screen. It's got a lot to do with outer space and aliens and the Shi'ar and the technology and stuff. Like, I just feel like that's just a big blockbuster film that can fail hard, and I don't know if you can truly capture the essence of the Dark Phoenix saga in just one movie. Some things I just don't are just too big, I think, and I think the Dark Phoenix saga is just one of those things. So I don't want the Dark Phoenix saga adapted again. Personally, I would like to see the X-Men to go somewhere else. But I wouldn't mind seeing Tom Holland wear the black suit. So I am one of those people that don't want to see the Dark Phoenix saga, but want to see Tom Holland. And so my reasoning for that is I've had 2 failed attempts at the Dark Phoenix saga, and I think the Dark Phoenix saga is just so much bigger than being told in one movie. Whereas, again, I don't play Spider-Man. I don't play Spider-Man video games, and I don't think a majority of movie-going or television fans do. I'm sure they're probably in there somewhere. Not to say that moviegoers don't play video games. I'm sure that they are, but I think there's a big majority of people that don't. So they probably aren't over or done with the whole black suit thing. And because it's only really been done once movie-wise, if I'm not mistaken, and people love Tom Holland in these last 3 movies, I think you could probably get away with it. So that would be my reasoning. If you wanted a reasoning, that would be my reasoning. Hopefully that answered your question. After watching several of Zack Snyder's movies, here's my conclusion. I don't believe Zack Snyder is a good filmmaker. I think he has great ideas, but when it comes to executing those ideas, he doesn't do a good job at it. There are only 2 or 3 films he made that I think were genuinely well written and weren't just bogged down to being popcorn flicks. I used to think that most of his films weren't well written because of the restrictions that were forced upon him by the studios, but after watching his Netflix movies, I just now think he's a bad filmmaker. I don't want this to come across as an anti-Snyder essay, so here's what I think can help him. I think Zack Snyder needs someone to tell him no. Similar to George Lucas, Snyder has great ideas, but he should have someone else writing and executing those ideas. Snyder has a tendency to incorporate cool visual scenes because they look cool and not because it makes sense for the story. So having someone rewrite those scenes with added context could help his projects. Also, before, most of Snyder's successes came from adaptions. Also, before most of his successes came from adaptions, I would agree. When started doing original projects, that really opened up people's eyes on a lot of his poor decisions as a filmmaker. Even as most diehard fans refuse to defend his latter works. What do you think? I tend to agree with you, Marcelino. I feel like I'm starting to come around to that a little bit more. You know, there are let me put up here. Let's just go through some of them. Rebel Moon, regular or direct? I haven't seen the director's cut yet. Army of the Dead, I enjoyed, but definitely had some faults, but I enjoyed. I was a really big fan of his Justice League cut, personally. Superman and Batman vs. Superman, didn't really care for it. I loved Man of Steel. I continue to love Man of Steel. Sucker Punch, didn't care for. Legends of the Guardians, didn't care for. Watchmen, I would agree. Like, the idea of him adapting 300 and Watchmen, I thought those were some of his best films. Dawn of the Dead was pretty good too. I don't know if was Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, it was a remake, right? It was a remake. So yeah, his first 3 films: Dawn of the Dead, 300, Watchmen, great. Man of Steel, big fan of. But I would agree with you in the sense of when he's sort of left to his own devices, it feels like, and I don't know, this is no disrespect to anybody that's got like ADHD, but it feels like that's his filmmaking. Like, in the sense of not being able to focus on one scene, one story at a time. It just feels like his mind just goes into these big explorative universes sort of thing, and he can't just sort of nail down the initial sort of concept that he wants to tell. And you're right, maybe he does have a lot of yes men around him. I don't know, but I know he works with his wife a lot, Deborah. So maybe Deborah's sort of the yes man in his life. I don't know what other creators he has that comes on board to write his stuff, but I really do think that he should. I think if anything, maybe he should adapt more. I don't mind his directing style, but maybe bring other writers on board. So yeah, I do think he's had some gold in his career. I would agree it is interesting that a lot of his successes do come from adaptions, but when he is left to his own devices, it could be really hit or miss with Zack Snyder. So you never know what you're going to get with him. So I definitely appreciate your opinion, Marcelino. There's a part of me that definitely agrees with you. Do you think Jordan Peele will one day have all his horror movies be connected into one singular universe, similar to Stephen King? The only problem with this would be the ending of Us would have to be addressed, since that did affect the world, whereas Get Out and Nope are more self-contained incidences that take place in isolated areas. I can see Jordan Peele doing that. Is that something that I don't know. Jordan Peele's a pretty smart guy. And whether you like his films or not, he is very forward thinking and he takes a lot of chances and risks. I don't even necessarily know if Jordan Peele has had the mindset of, hey, I want to create these movies, but I want them to all be in the same universe. I don't know if he's thought about that. Maybe he is, because he's a smart guy. So maybe eventually in like 2 or 3 more films, we'll come to realize that all of these kind of take place within the same universe. It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I think I would agree with you in the sense that Us, Us, I think would probably allow that to not be the case, just because of the way that it ended and what that just means for the world kind of in general, of having like other twins of themselves, like this big underground, like, place where all your other twins are at, sort of thing, right? Like your doppelgangers. How does that fit into something like Nope and Get Out? So I do think that's probably busts that theory, but leave it up to Jordan Peele to try and do something creative like that. I like where your head is at though, Marcelino, for sure. But yeah, now that I think about it, I don't know if he can pull that off. The most talented man alive. What's up, man? Coming through. How to honor the Michael Bay Transformers films without contradicting the new films. Knowing that the Transformer films like Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast are in a rebooted universe, with Bumblebee being a prequel, how would the new franchise eventually honor Shia LaBeouf's franchise while not being in the same universe and continuity? Dealing with the continuity can be challenging. Here's how I think they could honor the past films while not directly referencing them. Given Optimus Prime's statement in Rise of the Beast, it would be inconsistent for him to name drop Sam Witwicky or Michaela Baines or even Mark Wahlberg's character, Cade Yeager, as humans they've worked with in the past. Instead, if you still want to include a nod to the original franchise, you could have Optimus Prime mention that they've heard stories or detected signals about humans who have stood against Decepticons without specifying names or direct connections. Here's how I think you could make it work without contradicting the newly established continuity. Maintain the idea that Autobots have been aware of humans' existence before. As mentioned in Rise of the Beast, Optimus Prime was angry with Mirage, voiced by Pete Davidson, took Noah Diaz into their hideout, fearing that their existence would be exposed by the government. Other than that, leave room for potential future connections or Easter eggs as fan service. A tribute to the original characters of the Michael Bay directed film at the end, in the end credits would be a heartfelt way to acknowledge the franchise's history and show appreciation for the fans who love the series. This approach would avoid disrupting the new storyline and continuity, serves as a thank you to fans and their loyalty and dedication. It creates a sense of closure and connection between the old and new franchises. The tribute could be as simple as photo montage of Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, and Mark Wahlberg in their iconic roles, a brief clip reel showcasing memorable moments for the original films, a title card with a message such as an appreciation of the original heroes, or thank you to the fans who started it all. This kind of tribute would be a beautiful way to honor the past while embracing the new direction of the franchise. The new franchise can now continue to move forward. I am a fan of a tribute to those characters and those actors that came before, if it's like the last Transformers live action movie that they make. I don't necessarily know. I like where your head is at, and I think that's cool. It kind of reminds me of the MCU in the sense of like after the 20-something movies, like when phase 3 ended, right? They recognized all the Avengers sort of at the end with the great title sequences and their characters and the actor's signature and stuff, right? And people in the audience went crazy because it's like, man, these are like the OG characters that really helped establish this franchise and stuff. I don't know if I want the new Transformer movies to acknowledge what came before. And I say that in the sense of like, how many Transformers movies did we get under Michael Bay? Like 5? 5 movies, right? 6? No, 5 movies maybe. I'm cool with that having been the closure of a franchise and us completely rebooting it. I don't know if there needs to be connective tissues between those two because there were so many movies that kind of came before and you kind of want to start fresh. Like that tribute probably should have come at the end of The Last Night, but I rather these two universes now kind of being separated. We had our Michael Bay Transformers, that's cool and all. But now we have the new one. So I don't necessarily know if you need to connect the two franchises. And I don't think that takes away from fans that were fans of the original 5 movies. As I think those fans should at least recognize that, you have to kind of move on. But I do respect the idea of like a tribute. Like after the end of this Transformers trilogy or set of movies, if Paramount wants to take some time to step away from doing live action Transformers stuff, then maybe on that last film do a big homage to just the franchise live action wise. That I think I would be more comfortable with and open to than the idea of then trying to implement, hey, by the way, these universes are kind of connected. I mean, I get what you're going for, but I think it's just simpler to have them completely separated and then acknowledge those that came before in the last movie. Sorry, I wanted to refresh this because I was having some issues seeing the read more. Where did I leave off at? Peg C. Why is it not letting me do that for? That's weird. All right, Peg C was next. Sorry for all this back and forth, but it wasn't letting me see Peg C's read more. Hey, Adam and Stuart, hope you're all doing well. I have a couple of questions. What are your thoughts on VR Troopers using stock footage from 3 different Metal Hero series? Superhuman Machine Metaler, Dimensional Warrior Spellband, and Space Sheriff Sheridan. That's cool. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that they were all from like the Metal Hero series, but I didn't realize that they used stock footage from 3 different Metal Hero shows. It does make me wonder, like, well, one, I guess that would make me ask the question, like, what series was VR Troopers adapted from? They did not have, like, was it not its own? And I don't know the history behind VR Troopers or anything like that. So was it not based off of like one singular show? Or literally was it utilizing 3 different series and then trying to create storylines around that? Like, that just sounds like a horror show. Like, if I'm a creator trying to make a VR Trooper show, having to utilize stock footage from 3 different series and making an amalgamation and then have to write my story based around that footage, holy crap. Talk about a freaking headache, man. Talk about a freaking headache. Yeah, bro. I just that's amazing if that's the case. Sounds horrible. What are your initial thoughts on the teaser trailer for Steamboat Willie Screenboat? I mean, it is what it is. Low budget horror film. I appreciate the concept, you know, I appreciate the swing, but I doubt honestly, I probably doubt I will watch it. Unfortunately, I probably doubt I'll watch it. What is the best carrier Zord in Power Rangers? Oh my god, Titanus, Torque the Shuttle Zord, or Paramidus from Zeo. Paramidus looked cool, but he's not my favorite. It might have to be Titanus for me. And I only say that because I've got a Titanus Dragon Zord behind me, the combination. It's probably Titanus for me. Yeah, I'm gonna say Titanus. Who would have won between Christopher Reeves' Superman and Michael Keaton's Batman? And how would you have the two confront one another? Oh my god. I think Michael Keaton's Batman probably would have won. I say that in the sense of I think maybe Christopher Reeve's Superman was too much of a Boy Scout. Maybe might have underestimated Michael Keaton's Batman. And I just think Michael Keaton's Batman just had this undertone about him, like a take no prisoners type of guy. As far as how would I have had these two kind of confront each other, I don't know. When I think of these two confronting each other, there is a part of me that, as far as like how they confront each other, like what's the main threat, or how they like the introduction, at least of them as Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, I can easily see it like a gala show, like similar to what Zack Snyder did do with Batman and Superman. Like, but he was at Lex Luthor's like house invitation for something like that. I can see Bruce Wayne hosting some sort of gala or some sort of event, and Clark Kent being there from the Daily Planet to scope it out. As far as like how they would confront each other like on the battlefield, that I really have no idea, just because of the fact that it probably would be Lex Luthor driven again by Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor. But yeah, I don't know. But if I had to pick, I'd say Michael Keaton's Batman. Who else we got here? Me, AJ loves bacon. Dr. K has the best cameo in the entire Neo Saban era, hands down. Oh, that's a bold statement. Dr. K's return in Power Rangers Beast Morphers was indeed a highlight, and her involvement was carefully crafted to feel natural and authentic. I agree with that. The first reintroduction of Dr. K into Beast Morphers was where Devin sends out a distress signal to her in order to get assistance on how to separate his father, Mayor Daniels, and Evox from the same body by using a common weapon, the split emitters that were used in Dino Supercharge. Was not only an emotional scene, but was an excellent callback to Ranger lore. Later on, by leveraging her expertise and experiences with Venjix after the big reveal, the show created a compelling narrative that honored her character's history while also adding depth to the current story in Beast Morphers. The parallel between Dr. K's creation of Venjix and Nate's accidental creation of Evox was a brilliant touch, allowing for a significant exploration of their characters and the consequences of playing with technological fire. Yeah, I totally agree. The twist that Venjix and Evox were the same being added a layer of complexity to the story, highlighting the long-term effects of Dr. K's actions and creating a sense of continuity between the two series. It's great to see a cameo done in the way that respects the original character and storyline while also contributing meaningfully to a new narrative. Dr. K's return was a treat for fans of RPM and added depth to the Beast Morphers story, making it a standout moment in the series. The reveal that Venjix and Evox were one and the same was a masterful plot twist that connected the two series in a meaningful way by making Nate's actions when he was a child inadvertently creating Evox. The show cleverly tied the two storylines together, creating a sense of continuity and shared universe. While some fans didn't like that RPM was more of a darker and serialized series compared to Beast Morphers being more lighthearted and friendly, Dr. K Return was a perfect way to resolve the cliffhanger from RPM, providing closure for fans of the original series while also enriching the Beast Morphers narrative. The crossover between the two series, facilitated by Dr. K's character, added depth to the Power Rangers multiverse, exploring the idea of different dimensions and consequences of technological experimentation. This connection also highlights the long-term effects of the characters' actions, demonstrating that the event of RPM had far-reaching consequences that resonated across dimension. The fact that both series are now part of the same universe opens up the exciting possibility for future crossover and storytelling opportunities, making Power Rangers franchise even more engaging and interconnected. I mean, we'll see what happens when it comes to the future of Power Rangers in general, but the premise alone, yes, is absolutely correct. Yeah, it's a pretty compelling argument. I would like to see you compare like Dr. K's return to like why you. I mean, you definitely make some great points, but I would be curious to know like your top 3 or top 5 favorite cameos, or like top 3 cameos maybe in the Neo Saban era, and like compare Dr. K's to the others as well, as to like why they didn't necessarily live up to Dr. K's. But yeah, so make some great arguments, AJ, for sure. So appreciate that, man. Did I get everybody? I think so. Sam, Doomsday, Blossom, Jessica, Marcelino, Most Talented Man, Peg C, and AJ. Yeah, I think we got all of it. Awesome, man. That will do it for our live viewer questions, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much for everybody that certainly participated today. Jump into some of these comments also. Ram Jam says, I love the 10 years after movie Sentai movies or the Versus movies. Yeah, I do. I am a big fan of those movies. I just haven't checked out all of them. So Cuser being one of them. Marcelino said, I would love a new Spawn cartoon. You know, that was up on the list too. I was going to go ahead and mention Spawn. You know, I would like another Spawn. I know Todd McFarlane is currently working on a live action Spawn, so maybe that's something that will happen down the line. But I do think there is opportunity for another Spawn cartoon for sure. Here's a funny theory that kids from the Magic School Bus grew up to be the Planeteers. I feel like I've heard that one before. I kind of dig that concept. If people are tired of the Dark Phoenix being adapted, isn't it hypocritical to make the same arguments towards the black suit? He says the black suit was adapted twice in cartoons, once in movies and twice in video games. If Andrew Garfield movies were successful, it definitely would have been adapted. I mean, I don't know if it's hypocritical. I mean, you can want something for one franchise and not want it for the other. It just really is dependent on just, your perspective. I don't necessarily know if I personally wouldn't call it hypocritical personally, but adapted twice in cartoons. Okay. Yeah, because I was just looking at it from a perspective of sort of from a movie standpoint, trying to judge it fairly based off of the Dark Phoenix stuff, whereas movie, like if I'm talking just movies, Dark Phoenix clearly has been tried 2 times. I do not want to see the MCU try and do it a 3rd time. It's kind of similar to that of like what they're doing with Doctor Doom in the MCU, right? Like, we've tried 2 Fantastic Four movies. They've both had Doctor Doom, didn't necessarily do too well. So the idea of them doing Doctor Doom, but this time with Robert Downey Jr., it's like, if you want to put a little bit of a twist on the Doctor Doom story, I'm kind of game, because clearly the idea of utilizing Doctor Doom as his regular self in the other 2 films didn't necessarily work. So if Marvel feels like they have a unique way of giving it a shot, yeah, I'll be open to it. So I just think the idea of like, hey, you could be tired of one thing but still open-minded to something else, especially if it's kind of done different. I don't see this hypocritical. But again, I'm just looking at it from a point of view of movies. But you do make a good point. I mean, it has been adapted quite a lot for other ways, other mediums, like you say, when it comes to the black suit. Marcelino says maybe the next MCU saga will build up towards the Dark Phoenix saga over the course of the franchise, and I think that's probably what they should have done, if you ask me. But I mean, I guess that's kind of what the first trilogy did, right? Like, they kind of gave us hints at it. I don't know, man. That's just such a hard arch, I think. Maybe like leaving breadcrumbs in the first 2 movies, because I don't think we get a real breadcrumb of the Phoenix until like the end of X-Men 2, right? X2, after the dam breaks and she drowns trying to hold back the water, and then you see like the Phoenix underneath the surface of the water, and then boom, we get into the 3rd one and it's a Dark Phoenix saga. I kind of would have liked to have seen even more proper build up for it. And then when we got First Class, Days of Future Past, boom, Dark Phoenix. Like what? Like, or no, we got Apocalypse. And I think Apocalypse might have teased it a little bit. But I don't know. I don't know, Marcelino. I don't know. We'll see. Like at this point, like for me, I really want to see new territory. Like I'm thankful, and I'll be honest, I'm thankful that like in Deadpool and Wolverine, we got ourselves an Age of Apocalypse Wolverine variant. I kind of dug it, like literally straight out of the comic books. With the one arm and the costume and the hair. Like there was a part of me that I really want to see Age of Apocalypse world. Like I really do. I really want to see the MCU flip the X-Men on its head, but I think that might be too much. The main problem is that Zack Snyder wants to tell interesting stories with complex themes. That's not a bad thing, but if it's bogged down to a popcorn flick, then I think that's worse trying to be a popcorn flick. I get what you mean. He says the Rebel Moon director's cut starts out promising, but is just as forgettable with the added violence, and some added plot lines felt like they mounted to nothing. Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't checked it out yet. Yeah, I just don't know if I'm committed to spending so much time on Zack Snyder films anymore. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, other than that, that will do it for our episode today. Thank you for everybody that certainly joined us. Again, next week should not be solo dolo. I'm really hoping that I have at least somebody here with me. If not, I'm going to search high and low to find a co-host for next week for sure. But I really do appreciate everybody chiming in the live viewer questions. Again, I'll go ahead and make sure that I put together a timestamp on this video so you guys can jump back and forth to different topics if you'd like to. But that's going to do it for me here. Rings of Power review headed your way later this week. Same thing with Terminator Zero. We'll be having a review for you guys there as well, and other content throughout the rest of the week. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for me here. Follow us on social media everywhere at A+ Opinions. And until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.